or certainly no word that I've seen as to who's going to be in it. No spoilers or anything like that. I don't have any. I haven't looked to see if Fightful have reported anything. But I'm just having a little check now to see. Oh, here we go. TNA are expected to feature, right? I don't really want to put any. I don't really want to put any spoilers in. In all fairness, they are not reporting anybody they don't know. There's a couple of names that they've mentioned, but they can't confirm that they're going to be in it. But TNA is expected to feature tonight, so we think that we'll be seeing TNA in the Battle Royal. Obviously today has been dominated by the reaction to last night and the fallout from last night. It is dominated. It's dominated conversation. Really funny that last night Raw did just 1.75. I don't know about you. I thought that it would be much higher than that. I thought that it would have absolutely killed it. Like, I thought we might have been knocking on like a 1.9, 1.95, maybe even 2 million. I mean, had it have been 2 million, that would have been a massive result. But yeah, it actually came out as a 175. It was up against an NBA Finals game, but even so, I was surprised that it didn't do that little bit more, you know. But it's, I mean, look, it's a fight, innit? It's a fight. It's a never-ending battle as we are trying to get people's attention. It's one that's clearly not easy. Have you seen this image as well? Look at that. That's R-Truth, who said, all jokes aside, who did this? So there we go. Look, there's an image doing the rounds of R-Truth standing there along with this new Wyatt 6 family. So that's pretty fun. I like that. That's pretty fun. So yeah, today really has just been about the fallout of last night. We took a little bit of time to do the video for it. I didn't want to get like the video out straight away because I knew there would be so many little references and talking points and stuff. So many little bits and bobs that people will have spotted that I wanted to make sure that we just waited a moment so that we could really box some things off. And I gotta tell you, man, I'm so pleased with that video. I'm so pleased with like the video that went on the channel. I think it did a really good job of just really hitting all the kind of key talking points to the point where I don't really have much extra to bring you, unfortunately. I feel like there's not really been much extra news. We still don't know who had been targeted. There's obviously a lot of theories as to who were the victims. I'm still under the impression that it was just Chad Gable. I've not heard of any other names at this point. I know that there are people that look like people, and it may turn out that there were some other known superstars that got caught up in it all. But we haven't heard anything, so it's making me think that maybe it was just Chad Gable. And the others were just kind of local talents, and some of them just look a bit like certain superstars. There's obviously thoughts that one was Gunther, but I haven't seen any confirmation on Gunther being attacked or anything like that. So yeah, it's still, I think, a few things that we need to find out. A few people asking, will we see the group tonight? I don't think so. I'm not expecting to see them tonight. I think there's a chance we could get a QR code, just a chance. I would say it's unlikely. And I think if we do get a QR code, it would only be very light, and it would just basically tell us that we are going to see them on Friday, because we haven't had any confirmation that we're seeing them on Friday at this point. But we know that those QR codes were showing up on both shows, so I don't think we can really rule out the fact that we may be seeing them on Friday. So yeah, there's a few little bits and bobs. Obviously, the big talking point for NXT is going to be the Battle Royal and the fact that we should get some TNA stars involved. The big talking point in wrestling is the arrival of that group. I think the video, if you've not seen it on the channel, I think it did a really good job of kind of hitting a lot of the key talking points. There's obviously a few little bits that have kind of shown themselves today, and we'll box them off in a video after, but as of right now, I don't have anything major to kind of really bring to you that wasn't in that video already. So I think it landed, and today has been about really getting the temperature, gauging what people thought about what went down. That's been kind of today, if you will. But it sets us up lovely for tonight, and it sets us up lovely for, obviously, as we head towards Smackdown. That's Stone Eddie. Shout out to you, my friends. Welcome. Hope you are well. Words of Red said, Daze, what's up? Last night was epic. Bray would be proud. Tonight could also be epic. We will see who shows. And hello to the community. I think this will be epic. I think if you're a fan of TNA, then tonight's going to be big for you. I think that this is going to feature TNA stars. We don't know who. I would be truly shocked on that. There's a lot of affection for, seemingly. I mean, he's got his meme. He's got himself massively over with that TNA crowd. And if you're going to work with TNA, he is someone like Jordan Grace who I hear about on a regular basis, right? So he's become this kind of, I don't want to say bigger than TNA, but it sort of feels that way. I hear about certain wrestlers more than I even hear about TNA, and Joe Hendry's one of those. Jordan Grace is one of those. So we've already had Jordan Grace, so I'd be surprised if we don't see Joe Hendry tonight. I feel like that would be the one people would be waiting for the most. So, but I can't give you any confirmation as to who's in it because I don't know. And to be honest, I don't want to know. I would much rather watch and find out live as it happens and kind of take it from there. So, Word of Red, shout out to you, buds. Thomas said, the way they attacked hallowed ground of Gorilla, it felt as if Bray, Rob Zombie, and Stephen King had control of DX or the NWO. So, Thomas, shout out to you, buds. Thomas enjoying it last night, and that has been really what today has been about. It's been that kind of thinking about it's been about thinking about all of the kind of stuff that's been going down with this group, the reaction to it, and things along those lines. So yeah, that's been the day. Freddie said, imagine the Wyatt 6 group in figures. Mattel, please hurry up. God, that'd be sick, man. That would be sick. I hadn't thought about that until you just mentioned it. But yeah, imagine that. Imagine them in a pack. Do you know, it's funny, I did a video about wrestling figures on the second channel, and that was all I did get the question about Uncle Howdy, and there was people asking me about why haven't they done a Howdy figure, and I genuinely don't know. I would like to ask Bill that myself, because obviously we've had Howdy debut at the end of 2022. I know it takes about 12 months for them to make a figure, right? And so if he'd have started back at the end of 2022, we would have it by now. And I don't think one has been shown. I don't think at any point one's been shown. I don't think there's one that's on the way. There is a massive toy fair coming up, right? It's in July. It's San Diego Comic-Con. And they tend to show figures and stuff off on that show that then comes out for the rest of the year. So there is a good chance that we see an Uncle Howdy figure get shown in July, but it won't be based on this one. It'll be based on the original one. I wonder if it was a case of they started doing something, and then when Bray passed away, they thought, let's shelve this. That this is too sensitive. I wonder if that was something that happened, because you would imagine that as soon as Howdy arrived and Bray came back, I mean, they did some Brays, but I never saw a Howdy. And it was a really good question. Why did we not get a Howdy? So I wonder if we will see one in July at San Diego Comic-Con. It will not be the one based on this, though, because it takes a long time to design, get the computer generated images, get it all signed off. There's no way you're going to do that in time for San Diego Comic-Con. So it would be like the original Howdy, but yeah, that's a really good point. Imagine all of these in figure form. It would look so good. It would look so good. So yeah, that's a really good one. That's got me pumped, man. I'd love to add those to my collection. Logan said, I saw on Twitter that Bronson Reed posted, both of my opponents are dead. And on Monday, Bronson is supposed to face Braun and Gable. To be honest, I don't think that he is... I don't know that he knows of anything, right? No one has mentioned anything about... I think he watched like the rest of us, right? And probably saw rumors like the rest of us. So I don't know that he's been told to tweet anything out like that. In fact, his exact wording is, I'll show it here. So my opponents are dead, question mark, question mark, question mark. So he doesn't know. He's asking the question, are my opponents dead? Like they've massacred everyone backstage, right? Do I get a bye by default? Question mark, question mark. I mean, clearly Braun Strowman is not going to be dead. I don't even think he was involved. People have said that Chad Gable died. I mean, I don't think he died. Like, I think they attacked him, right? And I think he was unconscious, just like everyone else backstage. But I don't think that there was a mass murdering, right? I could be proven to be wrong, but I don't personally think that people died as a result of what we saw last night. I think there was a lot of beatdowns and people that were left lying and unconscious, but I don't think that there was a mass murder. So, yeah, this is Big Bronson just asking the question. I mean, look, he wants to get a bye. He's like, listen, if they are all dead, can I just go straight through to Money in the Bank? Is that possible? Like, it's just a cheeky tweet that he's put out, right? So, yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. I would suggest that they don't go down the road that they've murdered people, because I know that they're trying to make this more realistic. They're obviously trying to stay away from the whole supernatural thing. So they're trying to make this more realistic. And I don't know how it will play if they have gone and murdered people. I mean, that obviously would be against the law. The authorities would get involved. I mean, wrestlers are not above the law, and we saw that with Liv Morgan, right? And we've seen it many times in the history of WWE. So that's not a road that I would recommend that they go down. But we'll have to wait and see. My interpretation of it at the moment is that they lay waste to people backstage, but I'm not sure they murdered anybody. Carl and Dawn said, after last night, does that mean that CG will be out? So I think that they did make it clear that CG last night was Chad Gable, unless there's going to be a twist and it's going to turn out that that wasn't the CG we were talking about, right? I think that this is going to be it for Chad Gable. I think Chad Gable now is going to join up with the Creeds. He may want revenge, right? He may want revenge on this group. Would you pick that fight, though? I mean, I wouldn't pick that fight. If I was Chad Gable, I would not want to go after this group, right? He might want to, though, and he might get the Creeds, and this could lead to being the first feuds. But I don't know. If ever I was doing booking, I would like to try and think logically about, like, what mindset would Chad Gable be in. I mean, no one wants to mess with this group. I think everyone should be fearful of this group. This is a group that's clearly not playing with a full deck of cards. This is a group that is completely unhinged. And I think this is a group that we don't really have much of a comparison for in WWE at the moment, other than maybe the Final Testament. Maybe the Final Testament. I mean, you could sort of see Paul Ellering working pretty well with this group, yeah? You could maybe see the Authors of Pain, if they were wearing some masks, working pretty well with this group. Carrion could work well with this group. So outside of Final Testament, I don't really think there's really a faction like this. This is a group that's unhinged. This is a group that's playing with a different, different rule set to everybody else. So if I was Chad, I would not be looking for that fight. But is that it? Like, have they dished out their punishment to Chads and now they're going to move on to another target? Or is it that Chad goes and gets the Creeds and looks to go after this group? I mean, I think it's probably done. I think if I'm Chad, I wouldn't want anything to do with this group. And I think what we see going forward is a lot of the QR code stuff, a lot of that stuff is actually stuff that has played out kind of in the background, and it's not been visible to everybody. Not everybody has been doing the QR codes. So I think where we are now is we need to do some vignettes on the show. The vignettes have been filmed and we know that they're coming, but they do make sense to do them because there's a lot of people that are like, okay, I heard through the grapevine that this group was coming in, but can you tell me what's this about? There's a lot of people that are looking for answers right now. There's a lot of people that are like, right, can you just bring me up to speed? Because I didn't really follow the QR codes. And I sort of get the sense that there's a lot of people that want a bit of help with, like, right, can we walk through this? What's this about? How does this link to this and all that kind of stuff, right? So I think it makes sense to just for a couple of weeks do some vignettes where we can just bring people up to speed. And for those of us that are already up to speed, maybe flesh a few things out, right? And I know that people are going to go, that's going to be dull. That's going to be boring. I want more massacres. I mean, what you can still do is have the people popping up in the background as like, you're doing an interview backstage. There's Nikki Cross just standing in the background. Little things like that will keep the fans happy and satisfied, because what the fans want is they want those talking points, right? They want those talking points where it's like, why do you think she was in the background of the Bianca interview? Do you think they're going after Bianca? Why would they go after Bianca? Like, I feel like that's what the fans want. They want something to get their teeth into. Plus, also, we don't know what those vignettes are going to look like. You can't tell me that the Firefly Funhouse was disappointing. You can't tell me that you was down on those Firefly Funhouse episodes, because there was so much to explore within them. And that could be the exact same with these vignettes. A vignette, right? It doesn't have to just be someone standing there spouting a load of nonsense. There can be lots of Easter eggs and little references and lots of things for us to talk about. So I think it makes sense to kind of move on from Chad's. I don't think Chad should want any part of this group. And I think then what we should do is we should flesh this group out, right? Flesh the group out, make this more like bring everyone up to speed, make it a bit more transparent than it's been. Because if you didn't scan those QR codes, or if you weren't watching breakdown videos, I could understand you feeling a little bit in the dark over the group. So bring people up to speed, do a few little interesting things with people in the background. You can even do the odd attack. You could do the attack in the car park. You could do like an attack around someone's house. They could go around someone's house this week and like, we get exclusive footage of an attack. LA Knight went round AJ Styles' house. LA Knight went round Logan's house. Like, if LA Knight's doing that, this group can flip and do that. In fact, they've already done it in the QR codes, haven't they? Been going around Rob Fee's house or whatever. So I think that this is definitely the start, obviously, of this next stage. Nightbird is done, but it doesn't have to be boring, right? That's not it. It's not like it's dead now and, oh my God, there's not anything to talk about. Far from it. We need to know who they're going after. We need to know how the structure of the group works. We need to know the personalities of these characters. We need to know they're clearly not going to wrestle in the masks. So what happens when you take the masks off? And I'll tell you another big piece of work that needs to be done. We need to go back in the QR codes with all this new information, and we need to start looking at some of those images and start going, so that was that. You know, go back and look at some of those static images and start matching a few things up. So there was quite a I don't have it, unfortunately, but there was quite a famous static image, wasn't there, that we worked out and we sort of cleaned up. I think that probably has turned out to be the Mercy one. I think that one has probably turned out to be Mercy. I wonder if I can find the image. I may have it on my computer. I hope that I do. But yeah, there was one that we saw that was, do you remember, like few people messed around with it and made it like green and changed the color of it, and you could really see the mask better. In fact, there's loads. I mean, I've got images of like the person in the therapist's office and whatnot, and we can have a look at those. So I feel like there's probably a piece of work to go back and just have a look. Yeah, that one there. That one, that I'm interested in. It's interesting because I'm still looking at it and it still doesn't look quite like anything I've seen, but I would guess at it being Mercy. I would guess at it being Mercy. I've got the image. This one. This one. So like this was the static. Oh, do you know, I'm looking at it now. I wonder if that was actually that one actually looks like it might be the back of Rowan, doesn't it? That looks like that could be the back of Rowan. But because Rowan has that mask on the back, doesn't it? This was such a good cleaned up image of it. I should have another picture. I want to see the back of Rowan. That's what I want to see. Because the back of Rowan had that mask. Rowan. Let's have a look, see what we can find for him. He's Rambling Rabbit, and that's the one I want. So here you can see the back has got that mask there. Look. Do you know what's really weird about this, though? Is, look, that's on the back of, like, I think this is... I can't tell if that is his mask or if that is like a hood from his jacket, right? I'd have to go back and watch. But either way, that is on the back of his thing, right? I think we can agree that that skull looks very similar to what we're seeing here with this. So how does that work? How does that work? Because we saw these arms at the bottom. We saw the arms at the bottom sort of moving, sort of suggesting that the person was facing us, right? This is what I'm saying. There's a big piece of work to be done here for us to put pieces together, because now we've got all this information. We might be able to unlock some stuff that we haven't found out yet. For example, right, this person here felt to me like they were looking at us. And you could see their arms moving at the bottom, like circling round, right? Well, if they're facing us, the closest I've got probably to that is this. But it's on the back of Rowan. So does that mean that there's another mask that we've not seen yet that Rowan may wear? Maybe, like, this is one of his outfits. But is there another one that's going to actually use this mask round the front, you know? And then is it going to be a case that we end up with something like this? Because, I don't know. I mean, looking at this now, before I just brought it up, I was thinking that it could be like the Mercy one. It could be what Dexter Lumis is wearing. But I think it's closer to what we're seeing on the back of Rowan. But why is this on the back when this one feels like it's on the front? I don't have an answer for that. But I think there's a real piece of work to do where we go back and we really look into these things, you know? So that's probably what I'll be kind of chipping through tomorrow, to be honest. So I would say if any of you out there are going to do bits like that, go back through the old QR codes. And obviously it's easy to do that because thankfully they've put everything together for us, haven't they? Is it recapitulation? Let's have a look at recapitulation. Yeah, recapitulation. So if you go to recapitulation, which is this one, then so that's wwe.com/recapitulation. If you put that into the computer, then it brings up this page, and it's got the old QR codes and the videos that you can click on. And also the great thing is that you can click on them, right? And then if you actually click at the top, so you see where it says Rainerius, if there was anything else involved in that week's QR codes, if you click on the top, then it will bring it up, right? So I don't know if that was the best example. Was there some stuff here? If we click on that? No. I promise you, if there was more than Kintsugi... Jesus! Go back on there. Rainerius. I don't know if I already clicked on Rainerius. Can't remember which one's got more than that now. Invitation, maybe? I'm going to find an example. There we go! There we go! So this is the one where you could type words. What was the other one? Prisoner was one, wasn't it? Prisoner. And another one was Bo. And another one was... I can't remember. Can't remember all of the different ones now, to be honest. But there was... type the number of sense organs. Did I see? I saw this one, didn't I? Yeah. The massacre coming soon. That was... For a second then, I was like, I don't know if I've seen this before. I thought I was live finding, so I was like, did I do that before? I don't know. I don't remember doing that before. So anyway, yeah. You can go back through all that old stuff and you'd be able to find, I think, some very, very interesting stuff. So there's so much going on at the moment. Like, even though they've arrived, like, it's not like things are getting lighter or, like, you know, everything's done now. Thanks a lot. Goodbye, you know. Planet Dan said, I think we still haven't seen that creature in the static yet. If everyone else has evolved, maybe there's a new fiend or something. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there's a chance that there is still more to come. I mean, for example, I've had people saying how they're going to wrestle in that rabbit mask. Well, they're not, are they? I don't expect him to wrestle in that rabbit head. That rabbit head's flipping massive. You're not going to be able to breathe very easily in that thing. You're not going to be able to... it's a bit like saying, how's Vader going to wrestle in that mastodon helmet? You know, it's like, well, he's not. I'm not expecting him to. He takes it off when he gets to the ring. So it's for me that he's going to remove that. But what's he going to look like underneath? You know, is he just going to look as he was? Or are we going to be having some face paint? Or is there going to be a smaller mask? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So, plus, as we said, you know, are they going to have the personalities of the puppets? So, for example, Ramblin' Rabbit was always a bit jittery. He was always a bit, like, nervous as to, like, you know, what was happening. Like, will that be reflected with Rowan? Will he be a bit anxious and a bit jittery and a bit nervous? Clearly, those aren't brilliant traits to have for a wrestler. So there's going to come a point where you can push him, but there'll become a point where you can't, right? You can poke fun at him, but there'll come a point where it's too far. And you know, a red mist will descend, if you will. But yeah, I just don't know. I really don't know as to what it is that we see next out of this group, because that was a big reveal. But I agree. I don't think it's given up all of its secrets yet. I don't think we've seen everything yet. Jake Campbell said, do we think there's a chance they're on SmackDown? I do, yeah. I think there's a good chance that they'll be on SmackDown. I think that SmackDown is... it's obviously had a lot of QR codes. If you've been scanning those QR codes, you're going to want to know what it led to. Obviously, I'm guessing if you watch SmackDown, you probably watch Raw, but then Raw only gets 1.7 million views, whereas SmackDown gets 2.1. So it's a bit strange that there are people out there that seemingly do only watch one rather than both. Otherwise, surely both would get the same amount of views. I know that in America, I don't think USA Network's in as many homes. Maybe those people have to consume it a different way. Perhaps they keep up to speed with it thanks to social media and whatever. So I'm sure they're still in the loop. But yeah, I think to tease something like that and have so many QR codes and everything and then not to pay it off on SmackDown would be a real shame. Unfortunately, the way that they might get round that is they might actually do just a recap video of showing you what happened on Raw, which would be a real shame, to be honest. I mean, when we brought Bray in, I think I'm right in saying, I haven't gone back to double check this, but I think when he came in at Extreme Rules, there was a lot of excitement for Raw. And on Raw, we got a QR code. And when you scanned it, I think, if I remember correctly, it was one of those puzzles. You know those puzzles where you have to move the squares to create the picture? And I think when you actually got the image, I think it was letters from the alphabet. And if you actually counted the number of that letter, so where it is in the alphabet, it gave you a date. And that date was Friday, that Friday. So it was basically a clever way of saying Friday, I'll see you Friday. It was a puzzle that you move the squares. It then gives you the letters. And that basically translates as, you know, you can work it out as being the date that was SmackDown. So I'm thinking that what we might get on SmackDown is we might not get them, we might just get a recap. But if they're going to do that, I really hope they do a QR code that's very simple. It does not need to be in depth, but I hope they do something that then just points us back to Monday and is like, see you Monday, you know? Then I think we're pretty much in the groove of, okay, they're Raw superstars now. I think then we can accept, okay, we don't need QR codes every Friday, but I do feel like they should do something for SmackDown, because I think there will be people excited for SmackDown. There's people excited for tonight, but again, to be crystal clear, I'm not expecting anything tonight. There's a chance, an outside chance, that we get a QR code tonight that says, see you Friday, right? There's an outside chance of that tonight. I think there's little to no chance that we get the group tonight. And I know people are saying, well, Joe Gacy was on NXT. They're bringing down this company and all that kind of stuff. But I would just say NXT was not really involved in the QR codes. It was not really part of the builds. Outside of one QR code, that's all we ever got on NXT was one QR code. Outside of that one QR code, NXT has largely been ignored as part of Nightbirds. So it's hard to have confidence that they'll be on the show tonight. I think that Friday there's a chance. But, you know, I feel like it's probably now they're Raw superstars. And it's probably that tonight we won't get anything. And that on Friday we will get maybe a QR code, certainly a recap as to what happened with their arrival. And then hopefully like something that just points us back to next Monday. That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's really difficult because I think there's a lot of expectations now they're here that this is just going to be non-stop carnage. It's going to be non-stop massacres. And you know that it can't be that, because like they can cause problems and they will cause problems and they did cause problems. But WWE has got to still continue with its other stories as well. You know, there's other things happening, like Cody. It needs a new challenger, and it seems like that's going to be Solo. So that situation obviously is occurring. We've got women's championships where, you know, stories are evolving, like Liv and Dom. That story's going to keep on building. We've got like tag divisions like A-Town Down Under with DIY. That story's going to keep going. Logan and LA Knight. That story's going to keep going. So we're not going to do like killing all the roster and everything like that. We're just going to, like, you know, find moments where this group can make an impact. And I hope that that's going to be enough for people, you know. It should be enough for people. I mean, that's... Hopefully people saw what happened with Bray, and so expectations are in line. Because when Bray came back, we got Bray segments. You know, he did promos in the ring. He did promos backstage. We had the odd interruption from Howdy. But really, it was just segments, you know? I mean, when we went to Saudi Arabia, he wasn't even meant to be on the show. And they added him last minute because apparently the Saudis wanted Bray to be on that card. They wanted him. And so he just came out and did a bit of a promo. It was a nothing promo as well. It was the kind of promo that could have been on Smackdown. I don't think they really had any material for the Saudi show. I just don't think he was meant to be there. But they had to fly him over because he was, like, requested, apparently. Like, they wanted him there. So we're looking at, like, if you look back at that, I think this is going to be something similar. I think they'll have their segments. They'll cause their problems. But, of course, WWE is going to have to continue with its other storylines. So... It's one of those where I'm taking it a step at a time. It's so far so good, right? I mean, the reaction to yesterday has been overwhelming. I think it's over 10 million views on social media, already. And so it's been very, very well received. It's a shame that the Raw ratings weren't a little bit higher for it, but they were up against some NBA competition, and 1.75 in 2024 is not a bad number. So you kind of go, that's okay. That's fine. We'll take that. And we move on. But as we said, I think they're going to be Raw superstars now. I don't think they'll appear on both brands. I think that you might run the risk of overexposure by doing that. I think that Raw is going to have to step up its security following the attack. And I think then that means that this group is going to have to find a way of, you know, they want to bring the system down and they want to fight against WWE, but they've got to be in WWE to do that. So this group's got a bit of a tricky situation there, where how do they bring this system down? How do they tear this rotten establishment apart? Yet they need to be in the system to bring it down, you know? I mean, you can't really bring it down from being outside the building if security won't let you in. So it's a tricky one. It's a really hard one to book this, you know? It's a really hard one to book. It's a bit like Retribution. Do you remember Retribution kept attacking the shows and they were like chainsawing the ropes and they were like interrupting the shows and they were causing carnage? And then eventually they end up signing contracts. And you were like, what? Like, they were all about WWE and causing carnage. I think they had a similar mindset, actually, about how they had been ignored, how they had been overlooked. And they wanted to kind of rebel against WWE. And that's why they kept interrupting the shows. And then literally a week or so later, they're signing contracts. And it just was a bit strange. And this group do run a bit of a risk of kind of going down that similar road. They're talking about being anti-establishment and they're destroying everyone in guerrilla, but you sort of have to be in the system to go against the system. Otherwise you'll just find yourself being locked out, and, like, you know, they'll have to try and get through like 100 security guards, which there comes a point where there's going to be too many security. There should be too many. I know security guards are useless, but there should come a point where like 100 people's too much even for these 5. So yeah, it is going to be a tricky one to put going forward, which is why I think next week I would go with the vignettes. I would go with the vignettes, and I would outline who this group is, what it is they want, how they're going to go about doing it, and let's try and find a way forward that we can, we can work with, right? Maybe they say they've sent their message. We've sent our message now. Like, when we understand that we need to be within the system to bring the system down, right? But we've sent a message as to what it is that we're looking to bring to this company, or something along those lines. It's a real tricky one to be anti-establishment, but have to, they have to wrestle matches. So how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you sign a contract when you don't want to be within the system? See, this was the same problem with Retribution. So, but it's a problem that can be solved. I've no doubt about that. But it's one of those where I could just imagine having this conversation in creative and being like, hang on, run that past me again. Sorry. I've got it, but just one more time. Just give it to me one more time. So they are they don't like the system. They don't like the company. They want to bring the company down. But we need to have matches with them because that's the whole point of it. So that means that they need to be in the system. So how are we going to go about doing that? That's the problem. Okay, I'm with you now. Right. That's going to be like, okay. And I'm very interested to see how they deal with that, to be honest. I'm very interested to see what they do next. I mean, I don't want this to just, this is an NXT stream, so I don't want this to turn into this big, big thing to do with them and how we book them going forward. But that is kind of the situation that I think we find ourselves in. And it's all right. It's not a bad situation. This was always going to be the situation when they went down the road they went down by saying they were going to fight against. They could have brought them in and had them target people that had wronged Bray. That would have been easier. That would have been easier, right? For them to have gone after Randy Orton and gone after, say, Alexa, who turned on Bray or whatever, right? I know that they were trying to win her over at the end, but whatever. Go after people that wronged Bray. That would have been an easier way forwards. Instead, they've gone with this, you didn't value us. We were pushed to the side. We, like, all that kind of stuff. They've gone down that road, that anti-establishment road. That's why they laid everyone out in Gorilla. That's why they had a problem with the producers and, the people that are putting the show together and the, Triple H and all them people that sit in Gorilla, because these are people that feel like they were undervalued. I always remember that line on WWE.com, which is about the crumpled up money. The note that's been crumpled and thrown to the side. Does that note not have any value anymore? Of course it does. Just because it's been discarded, just because it's been, crumpled up, it's not been treated with the respect that it deserves, it doesn't lose its value. And that's the same with these superstars. These are superstars like Nikki Cross, like Dexter Lumis, like Eric Rowan, like Bo Dallas, right? Joe Gacy, who was, wandering around aimlessly in NXT. These are superstars that feel underutilized, undervalued, and the whole purpose of this group is to join together and go against the system that is so broken, that holds people down. This system that just keeps promoting certain people and holding others back. And I don't know how that shows itself in matches. I don't know how that shows itself in feuds. And as we said, going to be very difficult to be anti-establishment, but have to sign contracts to wrestle matches. You have to be in the system to fight the system. Was a big kind of black mark against the Retribution group. So it can be done. You can find a way forwards. I have total confidence this is going to work, right? I totally believe in it, because why would I not? It's so far so good. But I think it's right to sit there and go, these are the potential icebergs. These are the potential bumps in the road that we can see these are the potential obstacles that we can see that may prove to be a problem, that we may need to navigate. We might need to find a way forward, a way around, right? For me, that's not hating on it, right? I'd hate for that to be the message that's coming across. That's not what we're doing. We're just saying, okay, where are the potential bumps? And honestly, if you worked in the creative department, that's the kind of thing you would and should be doing, is looking for the potential sticking points and the problems and things that might unravel this group. You know, find the problems before they occur, identify the issues before they show themselves, and deal with them. And so I think it's a worthy conversation to have, and a good thing to like chuck around. You know, maybe we need another stream now. You know, I feel like we could fill 2 hours again. We did one on Sunday. I feel like we could do another one now. We could scrap NXT and just do 2 hours on this flipping subject, because now they're here. You would think that we've got answers, and you would think that, well, that's it, it's done. It's been brilliant, guys. Thanks a lot. Far from it. If anything, it's just kicked up a load more questions. I don't know about you, but it's like, I don't feel like I'm satisfied, and like it was last night was brilliant, right? I wouldn't change that, but I don't feel like, well, that's that done. They're here now. Like, it's been brilliant, guys. Look after yourselves. I don't feel that way at all. Like, now it's like, who are they going after? Why are they going after them? How are they going to do it? What are the issues? Like, are there characters that haven't shown themselves? How are we going to bring Alexa in? I've got as many, if not more, questions today than I had the other day. So, but that's good. We want these talking points. This is, you know, this is what we want. We want to get our teeth into things. So I'm pleased that we've still got things that we can chuck around. Michael said, this makes me excited for the move to Netflix. They won't have a time limit or a cutoff, and it might allow WWE to be even more creative with future stories. Well, it is true. If they need that little bit longer, they can have it. I think that WWE, though, would do well to not get too suckered into just creating content for the sake of it. I think sometimes those parameters can be good. I think a lot of people would say, for example, a 3-hour Raw normally is too long. Maybe if you've got something like this, it's fine, because, you know, something like this, you might want that extra time. But I don't know that, like, we need to start going even longer, if you know what I mean. Sometimes boundaries are quite good for actually fueling creativity, because if you have to, for example, when they used to make video games and you only had so much space on a cartridge, you had to be really creative about how you used that space and what you could actually fit, and every single element that you put onto that gaming cartridge back in the early 90s had to be there for a reason. And it just really focused the mind, really. The mind has to be really switched on, because everything has to be there for a purpose. Everything has to be there for a reason. And I think if you take those boundaries away, what you actually run the risk of doing is all of a sudden doing loads of stuff, but maybe not thinking so much about everything you're doing, because you've got more freedom to do lots of things. So I would say that could actually be a blessing and a curse, because having those restrictions means that if you've only got a certain amount of time to play with, every second should be thought about and planned, and everything you do within that 5 minutes, you know, has got to land. If they go, have as long as you want, have half an hour if you want, do you run the risk of just filling that time for the sake of filling that time? And will everything that you present be as impactful? Like, if you've got those restrictions, it can actually be a bit of a positive. So it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes you might want that little extra. Maybe you couldn't do everything you wanted to do. Sometimes it might just make you a little bit too loose. So I don't know. I'm excited for Netflix. I'm excited to see what it leads to. But I think it's right to say that there's a little tinge of concern there as well. But I agree with you though, Michael. More excitement than concern. Michael again said, I think it would be awesome to keep the journal and the QR codes going. They could use it to tell a deeper story, potentially warn of future massacres. Thomas said, as much work that went into last night, that head poking around the corner was an accident. That was an Easter egg of some kind. I don't know. I mean, there was a head poking around the corner. We touched on it in the video. We even at the end of our video managed to see the moment that it happened and where it actually came from. So I don't have an answer to that. I can't really sit here and give you any more context on that because literally all the information we had on it was the information that we saw. There does seem to be a moment where someone kind of puts their head round. I agree. It's probably more likely that it was someone looking to just, and they got a bit carried away, and it was just someone that wanted to see the thing play out, you know? So it was probably something along those lines, but it's hard to say, isn't it? I mean, there was some movement there, but there wasn't really enough to kind of... If it was like a little Easter egg, it was a pretty weak one in the sense of you couldn't really make anything out, you know? So as a result of that, like if it was Alexa, did we get much from it? I mean, I kind of feel like it was not the best way of using Alexa if that's what they did. So I'm a bit torn. I'm probably leaning more towards it wasn't really anything. I'm probably leaning more towards if you was going to have Alexa in the background, I think you could have made her a little more visible and then maybe made it a little more obvious. Just having something there where we can't quite identify who it is just makes me wonder, like, was it anything? Was it? I don't know. I don't really have like a lead-in theory on that. I would probably be leaning more like 70-30 that it was just someone that was watching backstage that wanted to, you know, have a little look. It could have been a technician. Flipping could have been someone hiding from the massacre, couldn't it? Don't forget everyone got killed. Stephen, shout out to you. Said, Daze chat, thank you for all the work. Thank you for joining us, my friends. Massively appreciate you stopping by, and I hope people are excited for obviously what's going down with the Wyatt 6, but also what's going down tonight with NXT. We haven't really spoken about NXT. And we can get into it. It'll be fine. Anna said, HBK has tweeted that Frankie Kazarian is at NXT. Oh, well, there we go. I don't know if he's going to be in the Battle Royal or if that is an indicator that he's just backstage or something, but that's fun. Let me go. Just trying to load this up. NXT Level Up. I definitely don't want that. Is it starting now? We might be starting. Yeah, baby. Right. NXT is beginning. And I think, are we starting with the young OG? We're starting with the young OG. Right, so we've got Javon. Javon Evans making his way out. I hope this is this week's. Oh, the Battle Royal it is. Right, wow, who have we got in there? Javon Evans, the young OG, has got in. I mean, I can see a lot of NXT talent in there. There's probably only going to be a sprinkling of TNA, but we are expecting TNA. Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is going to be in the Battle Royal. So the crowd are singing, you know. So the crowd do know. So he was the one that people were expecting. He was the one that I think people wanted to see. But yeah, look, there are people that know in that NXT crowds. He's got a microphone. Say his name and he appears. Joe Hendry is in NXT. I wonder if that's the only one. So he's doing a promo. He says that he's going to win this Battle Royal and take that championship back to TNA. He says, I'm going to have the whole NXT Universe chanting, "We believe." God, they're giving him some promo time here, you know. Is there someone else that's coming out? Ethan Page is coming out. So Ethan Page gets an entrance. So Joe Hendry is in. That was the one people were hoping for. And Ethan Page comes out as well. But I wonder if there'll be anyone else from TNA. Have we spotted any? I want Nick Nemeth, said Chris. That might be it, you know. I mean, there does seem, I can see Gallus in there. So Ethan Page and Joe, that's it. Yeah, Ethan Page and Joe Hendry face to face. Oh, there's Oro. Oro jumps in the ring. Winner challenges Trick Williams at Heatwave. I wonder if they will have Joe Hendry win this, but oh, he's outnumbered. He's outnumbered. All the NXT superstars have jumped on Joe Hendry. Yeah, he's an outsider, isn't he? And he's straight over the top, and he's done. Joe Hendry's done. Joe Hendry eliminated. All the NXT locker room ganged up on him. Oh, yeah, there's Frankie. Well, there we go. That's why we gave him such a long promo, because his contribution was not that long. Crowd are chanting BS. The Don is in there. Who's winning this then? Who do we think wins this? That was a bit disappointing in the sense of Vita said that's garbage. That's a bit disappointing, isn't it? That they've only had like that one person from TNA. I was hoping to see more. I think there was people that were hoping to see like the Hardys and everything. Kazarian left WWE because they wanted him to cut his hair, says Jim. He's in there, yeah. He's in there. Angel's in there as well, you know, and Berto. We've got Eddie Thorpe. We've got a couple of LWO in there. Is that Dragon Lee in there? I think Dragon Lee's in there, you know. Apollo's in there. So they weren't lying when they said there was going to be people from various locker rooms. We do have some people from like Raw and SmackDown. Rich Holland's in there. Frankie Kazarian's in there. Sean Spears is in there. He might be about to go. Oh, Eddie Thorpe, though, over the top. Eddie Thorpe eliminated. Eddie Thorpe eliminated. So Sean Spears with a little smile on his face. Dante's in there, yes. I wanted Ali, said SQRL. Yeah, no, Ali. I mean, I wonder if they're saving these for future opportunities. I mean, this isn't the end of it. Chop coming in. So the number one trend right now is NXT. Hank and Tank battling away in there. Wrestling with Andy, hello. Willy Wonka to win. Oh, wow, that's the dream. That's the dream. Imagine if we had his locker room with Grandpa Joe and some Oompa Loompas. Do you think the Wyatt 6 show up tonight, said Dallas Cowboys fan? I don't. No, I'm not expecting them at all, but... Shot coming in there by Malik Blade, who goes up over the top, gets caught by Dempsey. We're over by... There's still a load of people in there, you know. Tyler Bates in there as well. But taking a while to get down. Julia could show up tonight to confront Roxanne if she's cleared, says Macca Rice. I'm not sure if she is. I honestly don't know the situation with Julia at the moment. Charlie Dempsey just accidentally got eliminated. There's a bit of arguing here from No Quarter Catch Crew. Kazarian ends up dumping out Damon Kemp and Miles Bourne. So they get eliminated. We got Lexus King in one corner, Rich Holland in the other, Berto in the other. Lexus King. Grabbing. Is that Luca? Sonny, hello. Shout out to you. Daniel says, bye-bye, Apollo. Is Pete Dunne in there? I've not seen Pete Dunne. It's a real shame that we didn't get, like, introduced to everybody. I mean, it's just one of those where you just keep, like, spotting people. Apollo's eliminated. So I think we might be going to commercial break. July 7th. I think we've got a little advert, have we? Right, Richard Jr. said, will Cody have LA Knight, Bobby Lashley and Rey Mysterio team up to get revenge on Wyatt 6? No, why? I don't know why would we do that. Why would Cody need revenge on the Wyatt 6? Richard, explain that. Explain that to me. Haley TV 13 said, what if they are aligned? Triple H is actually in charge of all of this. I mean, that would be a little tricky because their mission seemingly is to bring down the people that are holding them back. And so in many ways, does that not make Triple H public enemy number one? I mean, really, everyone just does what Triple H says. So really, the head of the snake is Triple H, is it not? They've destroyed everyone in Gorilla. But all those technicians, they're just doing Triple H's work. It's Triple H that, like, decides all this thing. So it would be a hell of a swerve to find out that Triple H was actually in charge of this group. But again, you know, Triple H has to take responsibility for, you know, not utilizing Dexter Loomis better and not utilizing Nikki Cross better. Don't know. I think, like, we might need a bit of evolution with, like, what they're coming out to do, you know? Maybe they've sent their message that they won't be bossed around. They won't be held down anymore. Perhaps they're satisfied that that message has now been sent. And so maybe now the message can change. And then maybe, you know, we start targeting Judgment Day instead, or people that are holding others down, like how Chad was holding Maxine and Otis down. Maybe how Judgment Day have held others down on Raw, or maybe how Bloodline have held people back in WWE. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I feel like there's a definite stream that we could do on this where we sort of explore what you would do with them going forward, because I don't think it's an easy one. You can understand why people have concerns. Now the group are here as to how are we going to use them. The only thing I would say is we're talking about it now, but these are conversations that I have no doubt that Triple H, Bo Dallas, Rob Fee had months and months and months ago. Like, the conversations they're having now should be pretty much beyond SummerSlam, right? They should absolutely have this thing mapped out till SummerSlam. And they should be talking about potentially working their way to Survivor Series now, right? Obviously, they're going to be talking about, right, so what do we do this week? This week, the plan is blah, blah, blah. So they're still going to be talking about it because they've got to execute it. But actually, where their focus is for, you know, what the group's going to actually do, it's well beyond, like, this week, next week, you know, SummerSlam. I think they've got it all mapped out. So in Triple H, we trust, right? So I feel like they know what they're doing. And I think that it should hopefully work. Triple H hasn't dropped the ball that many times. He's dropped it a couple of times. But I've got confidence that this will have been planned. And they will have spent so long making sure this story's good. I've got confidence in it. But I can't really sit here and tell you what the story's going to be. Right. So, Haley, shout out to you, my friends. And move that over there. And Cameron Wrestling said Wyatt's 6 members were never drafted to any brands. So in theory, they can show up in any brands. I'm not going to lie. I did get emotional watching that big reveal. That is true. They can show up to any brands. I mean, they could show up tonight. I definitely don't have that as an expectation, though. And, you know, that's fine. It's... I think it's one of those where we're still kind of feeling the effects of what went down last night, you know? So it's fine. We've got a lot to digest and talk about anyway. And I think really it's, for me, about Friday. I feel like there were so many QR codes on SmackDown. Like, what do we do on Friday? Right, we got Lexis King in the corner and Ridge Holland is chopping away. Choppity chop chop. How do we feel about The Fiend towards the end of his run? It's kind of what I'm afraid will happen with the Wyatt 6 if he's not booked properly, said will be shocking. Well, I think I was just talking about this on the Wrestling Escape Pods. I think that when Vince was around, which was up until fairly recent, in all fairness, I mean, even when Triple H was first taken over from Vince, we know that Vince was still having influence, right? I don't know that he has much influence now. I think he's got other things on his mind, but we know that there was influence there. And I think that Vince and Bray have always butted heads. I don't think these are two people that are alike in any way and can get on the same page. I think they were always going to be at odds. Lexis King eliminated by Angel. Angel is eliminated as well. So I think that, yeah, we're definitely seeing, like, you know, we saw a conflict there. We don't have that now. Now what we have is we have Triple H, we have Rob Fee, we have Bo Dallas, and I think all 3 of them want this to work. All 3 of them are not the people that created this. It's come from Bray. So all 3 of them are having to work together to best interpret the way forwards. I feel, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but I feel like there's probably a lot more harmony backstage now than there ever was, like, you know, during Bray's run. I feel like when Bray came back, they tried to obviously make it work, but and listen, White Rabbit was amazing. And then what followed White Rabbit was, you know, not a bad little feud with LA Knight. I know it led to a pitch black match that people were disappointed with, but I think, like, we don't know what would have happened after that. We don't know, like, we know the Fiend was coming. We know there was a new Fiend that was on the way. We never got to that. We don't know what Uncle Harper was. We don't know how Alexa was going to fit into this. There's so much stuff we never got to. It's a bit unfair to kind of judge that last Bray run, because that last Bray run got cut short because of his tragic passing. You know, we only got that one match out of him. We got one match. One match, that's all we got. So I kind of feel like if you judge Bray from like 2019, 2020, 2021, I think him and Vince are like this. If you judge Bray from 2022, 2023, we've only got a few months that we can actually judge him on, right? And then he tragically gets ill and passes away. I really think that this is, you know, a lot of harmony. I think there's a lot of working together. I think there's a lot here that's a lot of people that really want this to work. So I've got confidence. I've got confidence in it. That confidence could be misplaced, but I don't think it's quite right to maybe judge it by what we've seen in the past. I just don't think the WWE we know now is in a very different position to the WWE we had back when Bray was around. I think I'm right. I mean, they'd only just done the sale, had they not, to TKO? So, so I mean, you had all that turbulence going on. I don't even know how much like Triple H could invest I mean, and all of that time, is that not around the time where we're getting all the Vince allegation stuff as well? I mean, some of the stuff that must have been going on behind the scenes at that time must have been... Right, Tyler Bate eliminated. Okay, what are we down to? There's just been people getting chucked out. We are down to 4. So we got Frankie Kazarian, Javon Evans. We got Sean Spears. So Frankie Kazarian's in there. Sean Spears is in there. Dragon Lee is in there. Mate, there's only one person that should be winning this. And it's the young OG, man. The young OG. Young OG is down. Sean grabs Frankie and he chucks him to the outside, but Frankie holds on. Nice leg drop to the back of the head there. Super kick by Dragon Lee as Sean goes out the ring. But don't forget about Ethan Page. Oh, is he still in it, is he? I thought I'd saw him get eliminated. Frankie goes over the top. Oh, that'll be a shame if it turns out after all of this that it's Ethan Page again. That would be a shame. So we've got Javon and we've got Dragon Lee. These two throwing in shots to each other. Come on, young OG. Come on, young... Dragon Lee don't need this. He's on the main roster. Oh, my God. What a kick by the young OG. He goes against the... Oh, my God. Beautiful. Oh! Dragon Lee hits a German on Javon. Javon stumbles back up to his feet, hits a German on Dragon Lee. Sit down powerbomb by Dragon Lee. Javon goes back to the corner. Javon's selling is so flipping good. So, look at him. He's just grabbing his... He's got his mouth open. He's sucking in air. You can tell that he's like having to dig so deep. Dragon Lee goes over the top, but Sean Spears eliminates Dragon Lee, but they've not called the end of the match. So Spears is still in. He's still in. Spears is in. Come on, young OG. Chin breaker on his feet, looking to go against the rope. Springboard. No! Hold on! Hold on, Javon! Hold on, Javon! He's trying to get back into the ring. Kick there by Javon. Is he going to go over the top? Springboard goes up. Oh, gets caught. Gets caught. On his feet. Duck underneath. Sean. Ah, clothesline. Over the top. Sean holds on. Sean holds on. Oh, man. Come on. Really fun ending to this, you know. Really fun. So, right now, Sean springboard into a super kick. Oh, mate. Off the top rope. Beautiful work. Come on, Javon. Straight over the top. Sean Spears eliminated. Bell rings. And the young OG has picked up the victory. Has everyone been eliminated? I mean, they're announcing it. I think he has, you know. I think Javon has got it. I think Javon has got it. You never quite know, do you? But they have rung the bell, so that's good enough for me. So many moving parts, so many people being eliminated. You never quite know if anyone's gone under. I've been hurt too many times. I'm still not over the Royal Rumble when I thought the Bulldog had won it. You know, I'll still be lying awake tonight going, has he won it? Has he won it? Oh, mate. Trick Williams against the young OG. Mate. Put the belt on him. Put the belt on him. Sunday, July 7th. Look, we've got a graphic. But has he won it? Has he really? And there we go. There we go. Right, we're in the women's locker room. This is literally my favourite place to be. Hashtag goals. You think you deserve a title shot? Fallon. Didn't you get your chance at Battlegrounds? And in Vegas, Fallon didn't come first. Ren Sinclair keeps trying to interrupt Brinley. Solruka is leaving. Oh, there's Lola. Boom, boom. Hello. Here's Roxanne. I'll tell you my plan. Don't worry. I'm not coming after you yet. So Lola tells Roxanne, don't worry, I'm not coming after you yet. They've built up Lola really well, actually. She does seem like a real badass. She does seem like a real problem, doesn't she? Friday. Right. Paige didn't go over the top rope. Are we setting up a triple threat, says Anna. Oh, Anna, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. They better not rob the young OG. James Wagner said, Daze, tricky question. Are Wyatt 6 going to be 100% heels? Obviously, they've got support of the fans for now, at least. I don't see them as heels. I've never seen them as heels. A heel to me is someone that gets booed, someone that tries to be hated. And, you know, if you think about who they attacked, the only name that we know that is definite is Chad Gable. There's a lot of theories out there that they might have attacked Seth, they might have attacked Braun, they might have attacked Triple H, all this kind of stuff. But that's not based on any actual evidence. That's just based on, I think that looks like Gunther. Like, that's what it's based on, right? I've not seen anything where anyone has come out and said, yeah, they did get such and such, they did get such and such. So at the moment, the only person I'm aware they attacked was Chad Gable, who's been horrific to the Alpha Academy. Them attacking Boomers backstage, no one's going to care about, right? They probably deserve it. So, to me, there's not anything here that presents them as heels. I think that there are going to be times where they are going to interact with faces. This is a no-nonsense group that are here to send messages, and really, if you get in their way, you're going to get steamrollered. So if there are any faces that get in their way, it could be a bit of a problem. But, you know, there's a lot of talk about, are they going to go after Jey Uso? And I really think that's a bad idea, because Jey Uso is very popular, right? He is someone that I really think this group needs support, right? This group is a group that can fail very easily, right? It can fail very easily. There's people that have already jumped off, right? There's people that never gave it a chance in the first place. And there's people that are it just feels to me like there's people ready to just hate on this. Give them half a chance and they will hate on this, right? And that's fine, right? If it's not for you, that is absolutely fine. No one's going to make anyone enjoy something if they're not enjoying it, right? But it feels like there's people that are sat there going, yeah, okay, Nightbird was good. Yeah, okay, the Arrival was good. But... And it's like, yeah, but you don't need the but. You don't need the but. We know that things can go wrong, but so far, so good. So far, so good. And if you start putting them in a feud with, like, Jey Uso, you're going to really split the crowds. Some people are going to be supporting Jey. Some people are going to be supporting the group. And you're going to cause this, like, rifts. You're going to cause, like, this. And that's just not what they need. They don't need that. I don't know why we would do that. I don't know what the logic would be for that. So for me, with this group, I would have them going after, like, hated heels. I would try and unite everyone behind this group. I've seen nothing at the moment to suggest that they're heels. People have said, well, they took the therapist, they kidnapped the therapist. I mean, they brought her back, right? And the other thing as well is that that was a way of us just being introduced to the members of the group, really. It was just a vehicle to help us get an introduction. I don't know that anyone was really meant to care for the therapist that we've never met before, right? All of a sudden we care about female boomers that we've never met before. That ain't this community. That ain't a community I want to be a part of, right? So I think that this is... it's hard to say are they going to be 100% heels, because I don't see them as 10% heels. I see them as faces. I don't know why we would want people to boo them. I don't know why we would want to turn people against them. I can't fathom that. So for me, I think the booking of this, we've got to be very, very careful. Very, very careful. I think if you're going to go in a direction, go in it. I think if you're going to go in a direction, go. If you're going to turn them heels, then go full heels. Go full heels. Make them hated. Make people hate them. But I don't know why you would want to make this group hated when there's people that are ready to hate on them anyway, just because of, you know, the fact that it's, I don't know, dark, mysterious. I don't know why people... I think Bray divided opinion, unfortunately. There was, you know, he kept winning worst gimmick with the Wrestling Observer newsletter. So Bray massively divided opinion. I think he won worst gimmick a few times. And you know, there was not a lot of affection for that pitch black match. If you go on Cage Match, it's got like a 2 out of, I think, 10 rating. Like, it's a really low score. So not everyone was into the Bray stuff. There's a lot of people ready to hate on this. Why give them more ammo? I would try and, you know, get them over. I'd try and make them faces, personally. But again, it's a really interesting conversation. Right, we just had Gallows and Anderson stepping up to chase you. Maybe we're going to get a little something there. Right now, we've got our next match. Oh, we need to rate that Battle Royal, really, don't we? Look at me just chatting away, eh? Look at us, eh? Look at us. So let's get the score for that. Here's Metaphor making their way down to the ring. Match score. Okay, Chikara and Lash coming down to the ring. Right, whilst we're just getting these intros, we'll... so Jace is actually going to be competing, but with that face mask. Has she got the Cody one on? Yeah, she has. So, yeah, she has got Cody's. It's a bit weird, that, isn't it? She's wearing Cody's and then she takes it off and she's just got hers underneath. I mean, it's a cool item to have, though, isn't it? Oh my God, it's like, if I'm Brandy Rhodes, I've got some questions here, you know? Yeah, if I'm Brandy, I've definitely got some questions. Okay, so Roxanne and Lola. Haley said, did we see Jay's interview at the end of Raw? I did, yeah. I did. I think the tone was wrong. I flipping hate Raw talk sometimes. When Elia lost to Jay, I wanted Jay to, like, hobble out of that ring. I wanted Jay to have given everything, right? He didn't. And then he does a Raw talk thing where he's, like, doing his skit. You know, he's yeeting and he's got his son and they're going to the Waffle House. And it's like, he's just been in a war with Elia. I don't really want to see that. And then, like, last night, the whole thing ends in a flipping massacre. And you can see there's, like, a little smirk that Jay and Kathy Kelly have. where they're trying the weight of this story, the amount of commitment that is needed to make this work. There's some people that are just not possible. It's not possible for them to take this seriously. Like, you could watch it, you'll see what I mean. They're like, you know, Jay's talking to Kathy, is like, did you see what happens? And like, Kathy's like, and like they're not delivering it right. They're not really committing to it. I found it really frustrating. Because that's the kind of stuff that just makes it look corny. It just looks like a bit of a joke. You know, if I was working at WWE, I'd be livid with them too. I'd be absolutely livid. Because I'd be like, this needs total buy-in from everyone that works here. There's just been a flipping massacre backstage, right? That interview should have been kept real short, right? Kathy should have looked really concerned about her colleagues that have just been flipping knocked unconscious. There's carnage that's gone on. They shouldn't have been standing around smirking. So I found it really frustrating. And it's one of those where you go, oh, come on, it's just a bit of entertainment. It's not that serious. But you know as well as I know that the devil is in the detail. You know as well as I know that if the details aren't right, then this thing can get derailed very, very easily. A lot of praise for the Bloodline story, for the way that the details were looked after. A lot of praise for the Bloodline story with how, you know, they really sat down and they planned everything out. And think of the planning that's gone into this. Think of the work that's gone into the costumes. And think of the work that's gone into Nightbirds. And I don't think it's much to ask that when you actually then deliver the group, that you just get a bit of respect. I mean, they didn't do it as a lack of respect. I mean, it's probably not right to word it that way, but it does come across that way. You know, they could have just took a moment to have been a bit more professional with it, to be honest. I found it quite frustrating because you do find this. Same with the commentators as well. Commentators never know how to sell that kind of stuff because what are you meant to say? You're in a very difficult position. But the thing was, it was at the end of the show, so they didn't need to say anything. So the commentators weren't a problem, you know. But if that had happened earlier in the show, then Michael Cole has to try and find a way of communicating it, doesn't he? Like, well, we'll try and give you some updates on that. Let's get back to the action. Like, you know, they have to try and continue with the show. But obviously there's been this horrific thing that's happened. It's kind of the same when someone gets kidnapped. They don't really pay it much attention, you know? It's like some of these things that happen that are really serious. The company's just not set up to be able to sell it, to be able to deliver it. You can work with the wrestlers involved, but what about the supporting cast? What about the commentators? What about the backstage interviewers? What about the other wrestlers, you know? You kind of need them to sell it as well. So I did see the interview. I thought that I didn't mind the bit where he was like, look, I don't want nothing to do with that family. They can have the Fireflies back. I thought that bit was okay. But the little smirks and the way that the tone of it, I just thought it was really off. I just thought it was off. This is a heavy, difficult story and group to try and deliver. This is why I think that other companies have got it wrong, because you can't mess around with it. You can't be silly. You're either all in with it and everyone's all in with it, or it ain't gonna work. And I thought that was just thankfully it was just a little flipping Raw talk thing that I don't know too many people saw. But you know, you do some of that on the actual show and this thing will all unravel quite quickly. Because if they ain't going to take it serious, why should the fans take... I'm telling you, if I worked there, I'd be flipping livid. I'd be flipping livid. That would be a conversation I would enjoy having. Let's get these down. Roxanne and Lola. Right. Thomas said, you can do some wild stuff and still get some support. Look at DX. I wouldn't compare it to that. I think with DX, the way, you know, they were heels, but they were around in the Attitude Era, which was a very different time. You're talking about a group that existed like 20 odd years ago. you're talking about a very different time in the world as well, where, you know, being cheeky like that, you know, and suck it and all that kind of stuff. You know, you could be off with the baby faces and you could insult them, but as long as you was doing it in a funny and cheeky way, then you got away with it, right? This group, you can't compare this group to that, because they're not going to do any of that stuff, are they? They're not going to be attacking baby faces in a cheeky way. And this ain't the Attitude Era. So, and plus also, you could make an argument that actually DX were faces, because at the end of the day, you're a heel if you're getting booed out the building, right? Just because you attack baby faces doesn't always make you a heel, because it's a case of, like, how are the crowd reacting to you? A heel is a bad guy. A heel is someone that the crowd should be against. And there's times where DX were going up against baby faces and they were getting the biggest cheers. So actually, you could make the argument that in those examples, it was actually babyface. But again, I would say that it's not the right comparison, because the way that they were able to get support and to be cheered is not the way that this group is going to be able to get support and be cheered, because they're clearly not going to be doing all that kind of stuff that DX were doing. So I agree with you in the sense of there may be a way that they can attack some baby faces. I mean, to be honest, I would say go after baby faces that people don't really care about, right? Go after baby faces that are like baby face in name. You know, like if they attack Apollo, I don't think anyone's going to really care, right? If they go after Apollo Crews, I don't know that anyone's going to go, what's that about? Have they've turned heel and all this kind of stuff. You might get the odd person that says that online, but I think it's a whole different ball game if you go after someone like flipping LA Knight, or if you go after someone like Jey Uso, right? Because these are people that are getting big reactions. These are people that the crowd really love. So that's why if you go after them, you're making people choose. And I don't know, there's enough people that are seemingly willing to kind of turn their back on this group if you just give them half a chance. Don't give them half a chance. Don't make them choose between, do I want to support Jey Uso or do I want to support the Wyatt Six? So I don't know. I feel like it's definitely one that I think they need to have thought through and they need to be very careful about. You can just see so many ways that this can fall off the tracks. There's so many ways that this can go wrong. And I really don't want it to. I don't know that none of you do either. I know that everyone out there, certainly in this community, would like to see this succeed. I don't think there's anyone in our community that's actively rooting for this to fail, you know? So I really hope that it comes through for them, but you can just kind of see a few obstacles that lie ahead, you know? I'm very interested to know who they're going to target, who they're going to go after, why they're going to go after them. Oof. Lola Vice driving her hip into Jasmine, running over the other side and going after Jakara. Ghost God said, do we think that they will be there on Friday? I really don't know. I think probably not. I think a sad truth that people might not like to hear is that sometimes less is more. Sometimes allowing what happened on Raw to just sort of, you know, reverberate for a little bit, rather than giving you something again on Friday, it might not be the worst idea in the world. To just allow that, what we saw, to be digested and to allow that moment to breathe. I think what might make more sense is to show the replay and then do a QR code, which is just very simple. Oh, saved there by Jasmine. Do a QR code that's very simple, that just basically tells you the lovely Pele kick by Jasmine, that tells you they'll be there next Monday, or they've got something to tell us on Monday or something like that, you know. Oh, spinning back fist there by Lola. Tag by Roxanne. She comes in. She hits Pop Rocks. And it's interesting that Roxanne gets the win there. Right. Let's end that. And let's do another one. 43, 29, 19, and 7 for that first one. Let's get the next poll up. Right, so Roxanne picks up the victory, and Lola is standing by her and having a little look at that championship. She's dancing away, but eventually she's going to turn her attention on that belt. Oh, Roxanne, though! Roxanne! A back fist by Roxanne! Oh, the kick as well! Oh, that could be a big mistake. I was waiting for Lola to turn, and we didn't get it. It was actually Roxanne that turned. Ah, she might have just made a big mistake, mate. All right, here's Ethan Page. So we got Javon, we got Ethan. I'm still in the Battle Royal. I was never eliminated, says Ethan. Nah, mate. This punk 20-year-old kid has got another match in him tonight. Young OG against Ethan. Javon's going to be in the main event tonight. Oh, there's Meechim. Well, there we go. So it's going to be. I don't think they said that Javon's opportunity is on the line. But if Ethan gets the win, it will be interesting. Will they sort of make him put it on the line? There's Kalani. Kalani making her way out to the ring. Thanks, girl. I'ma make you fall in love. Right. Roxanne and Lola won. They did. Isri said, Jay is the problem, not Kathy. He can't take anything serious, even in the bloodline. I'm tired of seeing his singles run, no matter how over he is, said Isri. You might be right. I mean, it might have been that if Jay had been more serious in his tone, that Kathy would have matched him. But I think with Jay being all like, you know, he is very just carefree, isn't he? He's a bit like Riddle, for example. I think that's why when Riddle and Seth had that moment where they were sat down and it was that interview, you know, where it really kicked off. I think Seth spoke about how's the kids, stuff like that. And obviously Matt's separated from his partner, doesn't see the kids and whatever. And he was like, where are you? And it was getting like, you know, they were kind of blurring those lines. It had a lot of impact, that did. Because normally Matt Riddle's like, dude, bro, and all that kind of stuff. And Jay has got that about him, you know. But I think, to be honest with you, I think with Raw Talk, you can understand Triple H being so busy with Raw and Smackdown and PLEs and meetings, and do you know what I mean? Like, just think of the absolute sheer amount of stuff that he has to do in a day. I mean, how he fits it in, I have no idea. How many meetings and things. I mean, how he gets sleep and sees his family, I have no idea. But you can sort of understand him not even thinking about Raw Talk interviews, right? So I think they're sort of just left to their own devices. So, you know, what went down on Raw went down. And then I think they've not even thought about Raw Talk. And so you've got Kathy, you've got Jay. Jay naturally is that kind of, he's Riddle-ish in the sense of like, he's a fun guy, he's a nice guy, right? But it's just that moment, those interviews, certainly after what's just gone down, it's like, it would have really benefited from them just keeping it short, sweet, serious, and like showing some concern. And if you watch the interviews, and that one, I mean, I haven't seen the others, but if you watch that one, that's the one I saw. That's not what they were like focused on. But I don't know, do you blame the director? There must have been a director, surely, that oversaw that segment. Like, why didn't they do a better job of kind of getting that communicated? It's really easy to sit and criticize. I am very aware of that. But I just find it so frustrating when so much work. If I was Rob Fee and I'd been working on that campaign, I'd be livid. I would be livid. Because you need total buy-in from everybody. And if you're going to do some stuff like that, it needs to be sold. I suppose in a way it's similar to doing a big move to someone in a match and them just getting up and no selling it. That's how I would compare it. So you've massacred a load of people backstage, right? Raw has ended in absolute carnage. Click over to Raw Talk and they're just goofing around. And it's like, nah, man. Nah, this company's got to be tighter than that. So you might be right. It might just be one of those where Triple H didn't think about that. There was no conversations that was had. They just thought it's Raw Talk. It doesn't really matter. Or they didn't even think that. They just never even got to it. And, you know, it just, what happened. As I said, it's not the biggest problem in the world, right? I know we're making a big deal out of it, but it's more the fact of, like, no one seems to have thought about that. And what if that bleeds into the show? What if they do something, this group on Raw, that's big and spectacular, and then the very next segment we go backstage and it's Jay and Kathy and they're goofing around? Do you know what I mean? Like, who's communicating this? Where's the communication to the rest of the locker room as to how they should be reacting to this? Because that is the kind of stuff that's, you know, harmed these things in the past. So yeah, it's fine. I don't want to really make it seem like it's a bigger deal than it is, but it's one of those just little concerns, really, that, as I said, what if they do something big on the show and then moments later you got Kathy and Jay just goofing around backstage after seeing, like, you know, someone being carted off in an ambulance, or several people being carted off in ambulances. Right, we are back to NXT, and we've got Kalani making her way down to the ring. So 50 minutes into the show, I think it was a bit early to give Kalani a title, says Brony. Maybe. She was not my pick to win it. I really like Kalani. I think she's an excellent talent. It could have been a little bit too early. 1-4. So Roxanne, Lola picked up the victory. Young OG picked up the victory. We're just about to go to our third match. And this is Kalani against Meechim. Meechim. It's a bit of a shame that Battle Royal was first. I would have been better if it was like the main event, you know? I sort of feel like that was a big reason that people were tuning in this week, was to watch that Battle Royal, and it's sort of done and it's gone now, you know? It's a bit of a shame. Wrestlandy said, I've realised that NXT is so fun because it's like the territories. No one can outstay their welcome, and it's just a constant new roster. That's a good way of looking at it. I like that. Right, we're underway. Daze, would you think that we get Top Dollar now showing up in NXT? I don't know. I mean, I don't watch TNA. I mean, it's a bit of a struggle for me, like, with these TNA stars, because I don't watch them. I don't have a connection with them. I'm sure they're great. I'm sure they do good work. I'm sure they have great matches. But you're never going to really see me pop in for TNA stars because they're just not... I don't watch them. They're not... I don't have that. You know what I mean? I think, like, if you buy into the gimmick and you buy into the characters and you watch them regular and, you know, of course you'll be extra level excited, won't you? But for me, like, I like seeing them, you know. It's good because I get to see wrestlers that I don't normally see, so I like seeing them, but I don't I can't really sit here and say, like, you know, who am I hoping to see? I suppose, I mean, I am aware of Josh Alexander. I wouldn't want to see him in a battle royal. I've heard so much about him. I would like to see him in a proper match. So I'd like to see, like, Josh Alexander against maybe, I don't know, someone that's really good in the ring. Someone like, honestly, Gunther would have been amazing. Josh Alexander against Gunther. I think that would have been a fantastic match. Ilya would have been a fantastic match. Unfortunately, we don't have either of those in NXT, so I don't know. Do we have to now look at someone like Charlie Dempsey, maybe? But Charlie hasn't really provided a 5-star match. We haven't really had like that Gunther Ilya banger out of Charlie Dempsey. So I'm sort of a bit of a loss as to who he would go up against. But Josh Alexander's someone I would like to see. Hammerstone looks very impressive. He looked great in MLW, but I don't know how he's doing or how he's being booked in TNA. It's kind of, I suppose it's interesting to see some of those stars that we've seen before. I don't think that Dana Brooke got a great reaction, though. You know, when Ash by Elegance came out. I don't know that Top Dollar will get a great reaction. I think you probably need a Dolph Ziggler, a Matt Hardy. Do you know what I mean? Like a legend like that. I mean, Top Dollar's clearly not a legend. Dana Brooke, I don't think you would call a legend. But like a Matt Hardy, a Jeff Hardy, a Dolph Ziggler. You know, those are the names that I think would make people pop. Maybe a Mustafa Ali. I wouldn't call him a legend, but I think there was a lot of goodwill towards Mustafa Ali. I think the WWE fans know that he was not really maximized, utilized very well, you know? So I think there's a lot of sympathy for Mustafa Ali. So I think he would get a good reaction. But I can't really speak on Moose, to be honest. I have been told about Speedball Mike Bailey and I heard about his match with Ospreay being amazing. So he's someone that I would check out. I remember asking a question not long ago. I think it was on a TNA stream that Tommy was doing. I asked the question, who's better, Speedball Mike Bailey or Josh Alexander? And people were unanimous that it was Josh Alexander. So Josh Alexander would probably be top of my list, to be honest. I mean, look, I think the Battle Royal was very underwhelming from a TNA point of view. I think we literally only had, I don't know if Frankie Kazarian is TNA, but I think we only had Joe Hendry, and he lasted all of a few seconds. I don't really understand why. I mean, really, we brought him in to do his entrance song and for him to cut a quick promo and then just get eliminated. I don't really know why we did that. That feels like a real waste. I could totally understand there being a bit of a backlash to that, because it does feel like a big waste. But this is clearly not the end of this relationship, is it? So there's going to be other opportunities. You know, maybe someone will make their presence felt at Heatwave. Maybe we bring someone in. Maybe we will get a Josh Alexander match at Heatwave. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is seemingly a long-term relationship, not just like a little one-off thing. I think it's been very well received by the fans, and I think WWE are interested in keeping it going. I got a question. Who would you see as the next wrestling business to work with? WWE said Simulation. I wonder if it might be someone like WXW because, or ICW, because I think AAA is a good shout in Mexico. Because I think look, Triple H has always wanted to have promotions around the world. And so, you know, we know he wants NXT Japan. We know that they had NXT UK, and the reason they stopped that is apparently because NXT Europe was coming, right? I think it's because NXT UK's ratings were not brilliant. Because surely you stop NXT UK when NXT Europe is set up and ready to go, right? They sort of stopped NXT UK going, yeah, we're going to do NXT Europe. We haven't done it yet, but we're gonna do it. And well, where is it? You know, I know that they've said that the sale and everything got in the way, but I'm not sure I'm buying that so much. So I think that we know they like to go around the world, yeah? So I think AAA down in Mexico is a good shout. If, you know, as long as they're available and they're no longer working with AEW. If they're working with AEW and they've got like an exclusive deal with them, then obviously we can't, right? But so Mexico would be a good shout. We've got Noah, and we've got a little relationship with All Japan. We can't work with New Japan because they're working with AEW, and I'd imagine that's an exclusive thing, right? So you can look over. I mean, obviously there's other promotions, and we're working with Marigold, of course. I would say though, who do we work with in Europe? And in Europe, you know, we have had a bit of an on-off relationship with Progress. We have got no relationship with Rev Pro. We could work with ICW that's in Scotland. There is, I think, is it WXW that's in Germany? And that's the promotion that Elia and Gunther and all of those guys kind of came through. I could see there being a relationship there because that's in Germany. That's mainland Europe. It's the biggest that I know of. I'm not aware of a bigger European promotion. I mean, you could make the argument that Progress and Rev Pro are bigger, but they're in the UK. If we're talking mainland Europe, WXW is probably the biggest I'm aware of. That would not be a bad relationship to get to work with them. So I would say that Japan feels like we've got a bit of a tick over there. We could always add more. But obviously the one you would want would be New Japan. We can't get that. You could go to Mexico and add AAA, or I would look at WXW. And I don't know what the status is with Progress. I mean, Progress is a really good promotion in the UK. I think they actually took the guy that started Progress and put him in charge of like helping to book NXT UK, Jim Smallman. And I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know if he's still on the books, if he now works at NXT or what the deal is with him. But I have to think there's probably still some relationship there, but they don't seem to do anything with them, do they? So I don't know. But yeah, AAA or WXW, I think that's worth exploring. Right now we've got Kalani. We've done an hour. Oh, lovely. Poison Rana by Kalani. Michin is down. 1, 2. Oh, God, I thought we was about to see someone get a win with a Poison Rana. Perish the thought. Flipping getting dumped on your head backwards. Jake the Snake used to do a DDT. Now a Poison Rana can't put flipping anybody away. Right, we've got split leg moonsault. Oh. No joy. Kalani. No one home as Michin got back up to her feet. She's got... Hello. Lovely. Oh. That was lovely. Like wing clipper. 2. Oh, shoulder up. I never quite know. I mean, I don't know if there is some science to it, but I never quite know how that's meant to keep you incapacitated. Getting dropped down on like your tailbone, I'm sure it hurts, but how does that keep someone down for a count of 3? There may be some science behind it. Oh, hello. Is that Jada? Who was that? OTMK down. It was Jada. Jada interferes. She goes, oh, Kalani's going to benefit from that outside interference. That's interesting. That's interesting. So it is a victory for Kalani, but she only benefits as a result of outside interference from Jada Parker. Right, let's get match scores up. Michin loses. Interference by Jada, said Kian. Okay. Interference. Jake had the best DDT ever, said Scott. He did, man. He so did. That was the RKO of the day, wasn't it? Crowds used to chant for the DDT, like crowds chant for the RKO. Wrong. Trick never beat Ethan Page at his best. Next time we cross paths, Oro, I'm going to deal with you. There we go. A very fired up Ethan Page. Is this Izzy Dame? On the volleyball court, I was that girl. We're seeing a video package for Izzy Dame all about volleyball. And she's talking about how she was that girl in volleyball, and she is that girl in NXT. WXW is in Germany. Cara Noir wrestled for them before his injury, says James. I'd imagine James watches them. Thomas said UFC is doing a show at the Vegas Sphere. Should WWE? Oh, definitely. Definitely. Such a WWE space, isn't it? I mean, the only problem you've got is that I believe it's be like a theater setup. So you've got one side and then the stage, and the stage is right up against the edge. So I'm not sure how you work the ring, or, you know, I don't know how that it can get I don't know, like, if you can change the seating and how you actually make that work. I mean, it'll be very interesting, because clearly if the UFC are doing it, they have got an idea. Is it just that the crowd sit one side and we all look at the octagon? And I don't know. I'm guessing that the majority of time, the hard cam will actually be the side of the sphere. But then you sort of, do you lose the effect of the sphere a bit by doing that? So it's an interesting production issue, that, isn't it? If it's like a theater setup and everyone is facing the octagon or the ring and there is nothing behind it but the sphere, like, how do you capture that? Plus, also, the thing with the sphere, did you know, because I watched a video on it, that if you get really close to the sphere, it's flipping looks awful. The pixels are like this far apart. The lights, like the lights on the sphere are like laid out about this far apart. Each light. You'd think that it was just a TV screen. It's not. It's this like strip of lights, and the pixels, the lights are like that far apart, and then you've got another strip next to it that's like that far apart. As soon as you get close, it's really spaced out, but it's just the weirdest thing that when you get back a certain distance, it just looks incredible. It looks like high def. It looks like, you know, 20K. It just worked. Like, or I think the glare of the colors bleed into each other, and that's what like makes it work. And so that's another issue, is that if you're sat in the seats in the sphere inside, each seat works because it's the perfect distance, like the way they've measured it and the way they've done the architecture. Each seat is the perfect distance away from the screen, so that you get the right effect. But if you was to get close to it, it wouldn't work. So again, you're like, well, how do we shoot that then? How do we do that? I mean, you're probably going to have to do a long shot where you're in the crowd and you can see the octagon quite small with the effect behind it, if you want to get the best effect. Because if you actually get quite close to the octagon, it ain't going to look as it's not designed for you to get that close to the screen. So, but that was boring, wasn't it? But I thought it was quite an interesting video that I watched on it. none of these matches are satisfying after that Wyatt reveal, says Albert. I think NXT is... It's okay this week. It's, I agree, it's a difficult one because we got something so monumental last night. It's hard to dial in it. Normally with Raw, we chat about it for an hour and then we can, like, dig into NXT. But, yeah, I mean, there's just so much to talk about. There's so much that's happened. That and so much, like, that's kind of going on that everyone's thinking about that it is hard to dial into Meechin versus Kalani Jordan. And it is such a shame they did that Battle Royal. I wish we were still, like, had that ahead of us, you know? It's a shame they did that early. Right, we're going back. Let's see what NXT has got for us as we are 50-odd minutes away from the end of this show. Why didn't you tell me you was going to compete? Axiom talking to Nathan Frazier. We're the NXT Tag Champs. Last week you was looking at the Heritage Cup. This week you're competing for the NXT Championship. Who's coming in? Is this Luca? Friend of the channel. Well, there we go. Luca has brought contracts for an NXT Heritage Cup match, and Nathan Frazier signs it without hesitation, and Axiom's not best pleased about that. Right, well, there we go. And we're just seeing some images from TNA. Tatum Paxley stepping up to Jordan Grace. The Juggernaut would make Tatum Paxley pay in the end. Last Friday. Obafemi. Obafemi's coming out. Luca Crucifino, one of ours. Yeah, he probably doesn't know who we are, to be honest. Isn't Luca supposed to be an amazing indie talent? What are they waiting for, said Wicked Dust. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Was Luca an amazing indie talent? Is Obafemi... He's got a bit of a strut going on as he's making his way down. Oh, look at that dude as well in the crowd. So dominant. I think Big E was singing Oba's praises after Battleground. I mean, he does look amazing. You know, there's people out there that they want the big meaty men, don't they? That's what they're looking for. They're looking for the meat. You know that if Vince is tuning in, his eyes are glazing over for most of the show. But when Obafemi comes out, I should imagine he sits up. Do you think Vince has got the WWE Network? Or do you think he just doesn't? That's in his past now. I wonder if he watches. I wonder if he watches this. I bet he doesn't. I bet he never watched NXT. Why would he start now? Right, Oba in the ring. I dominated 2 men. Two of the greatest that NXT has to offer. I dominated them. There's nobody like me. Look in my eyes. Riddle me this. Who can ever take this title from me? Is this Wesley? I don't think it's you, mate. I don't think it's you. Here's Wes. To answer your question, that would be me. You know. R.I.P. Gable sign. R.I.P. Gable sign. Very good. Your little obsession with this title that was yours is beginning to irritate me. Oh, hello. Who's coming in the crowd? There's fighting. There's a fight in the crowds? No, mate. I think that's... Oh, it's Brooks. Oh, I was just about to say, I think that's real. Because they're actually carrying on in the ring and they're not really drawing attention to it. But you just saw Brooks Jensen's face. You just saw Brooks Jensen's face. The security have gone charging over. Nah, mate, that is so interesting. Week after week, he keeps trying to get in. And, like, the other week, he was trying to get at Vic Joseph, grabbing a hold of him and everything. Now, you just briefly saw his face as he got dragged out. But they've really done a great job of making it seem like it was a proper fight in the crowd. They've done a brilliant job of that. Where are they going with this Brooks Jensen thing? I'm so invested. I'm really intrigued by it. Where are they going with it? Obafemi walks away. Don't turn your back on me. Just turn around now. The fight's over, by the way. It looks so real, said K-Dub. Hello, K-Dub. I hope you are well. Does anyone in NXT have mic skills, says Chris. Vic Joseph. Booker T. I like it when he goes, shucky ducky quack quack. Like that. You know deep down what I am to that title. You'll be facing a different cardiac kid. So it looks like we're getting Wesley against Obafemi, and I don't know that the crowd are that bothered, to be honest. Seems like you got a lot of faith in yourself. What concerns me is changing the record book. So Obafemi is looking for records. He said, I'll give you that one-on-one match. However, first and final time. As long as I'm champion, this will be the first and the final time. Why do they always say that? Whilst I'm champion, if he wants to be a real heel, he should say, this will be the only time you can ever whoever the champion is. If you lose, I will make sure that they never give you another opportunity. Do you still want the match, Wes? Do you still want the match? Here's Hank and Tank. Backstage. I wonder if NXT will defeat AEW again, said Simulation. That was so cringe. What was that about? What was that about? Like, people that were like using that as some sort of like win or something. I don't understand. Because all you're gonna do, if you are an NXT fan that wants to brag about that, AEW will take the lead again. I mean, it might not be this week, it might be the week after, whatever, but it's just fueling this never-ending war that's just so flipping pointless. Here's Fallon. Fashionista Femi versus Seth in a drip-off challenge, said Wrestle. Well, talking of drip, Look at Fallon Henley making her way down to the ring. Fallon Henley coming down, looking lovely. She has got a bit more glamorous now, hasn't she? She's turned up the glamour. Ha ha! I thought Booker was about to do a shucky ducky. Carly Bright is taking on Fallon Henley next. Hank and this guy look like two average dudes. I think Tank looks a little better than Hank, but that has always been the criticism of Hank, to be honest. He's been around for a few years now. But the criticism of him has always been that he just looks a real average... I don't know why, doesn't he change his hairstyle or something? I don't know. Why don't we, like, I don't know, why we don't change his gimmick a little bit and sort of make him feel a bit... I think they are trying to go for the average guy sort of vibe with him. Brooks Jensen's part of the Wyatt 6, said The Flash. James said, next time we see Joe Hendry, I bet he doesn't come alone. We are possibly setting up NXT versus TNA. That's interesting, because he got ganged up on. That's interesting. Yeah, so if the NXT locker room are going to gang up on a TNA person, he might come back and go, listen, that was not fair what you did. Or ganging up against me. Well, this time I'm not coming in. That's a good shout, that is. That's a good shout. James said, Fallon with a poor imitation of hardcore country. Bishop said, Daze, why don't we do more special shows like Spring Breaking and Halloween Havoc? Don't know. To be honest with you, I think the reason why we turned all of those up was because we went through a period of competing with AEW where they do a lot of those special shows. And so I think it meant that we had to do a lot of those special shows. Because if you go back to Black and Gold NXT, we didn't do those kind of special shows. We weren't doing like, come and join us next week for Spring Breaking and all this. We had our takeovers and we had our NXTs. But yeah, we did start doing like more and more of those kinds of shows. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they've just sort of moved away a bit from those now that we're not on the same night as AEW, and now, like, you know, we've secured the new deal as well. So not only are we on a different night to AEW, but also, you know, we went through a period, didn't we, last year of trying to get ratings. We had flipping Becky as champ and all this kind of stuff. So anything we could do to boost ratings, boost numbers, whilst we were trying to sell NXT, we were doing it. Whereas now, we know we're going to the CW network next year, so that's done. We're not really competing with AEW, although, you know, last week, apparently they saw an opportunity to try and get a bit of a, you know, give them a bit of a black eye, right? Which I thought was cringe, and I'll continue to say I think it's cringe. I think a big lesson that we learned in the Attitude Era was just mind your own lane. Just mind your own lane. Just stick in your own lane. Worry about your product, because if you keep an eye on the other product, you're taking your eye off your own. So it's not the kind of thing I'd be interested in. I think NXT has got, you know, a lot that it needs to look at and could probably make a little bit tighter. It's not in a bad place actually at the moment. It's not been a great year though for NXT. If you look at the average scores from the community, they're quite low for NXT this year. But I would say that since the whole TNA thing relationship started, ratings have been better, and I think the appreciation for the shows have been better. So NXT's in an all right place at the moment, but I wouldn't worry about AEW. It's done. You know what I mean? Like, let them do whatever they're doing. It's of no interest to us, really. Okay, Tavian is Tavian Heights is meeting with No Quarter Catch Crew. You are impressive, says Charlie Dempsey. You've won multiple Greco-Roman championships. You're just what No Quarter Catch Crew needs. So they want to bring in Tavian Heights. They did imply this last week. Next week. You against Damien next week. After what you did in the Battle Royal, you deserve this. So Tavian against Damon Kemp. If Tavian can win, is in the group. Okay. Backstage, NXT Anonymous has filmed Gallus. Who reported that NXT wanted to beat AEW, says James. It was... I don't know, actually. I think it might have just been a consensus thing that it was doing the rounds. That they wanted to... They sensed... Someone said it. Because I remember reading that NXT sensed that this was an opportunity because AEW had some tough competition. So because of the recent increase in ratings, they saw this as an opportunity to just give them a bit of a black eye. So someone did report it, but, you know, it could turn out to be like one of those Dave Meltzer reading the room type situations, you know? That happens sometimes with, like, say, Dave, where he will sometimes give some information that he's had directly from the companies, and sometimes he just talks kind of off the cuff, you know. For example, I heard an interview with Dave earlier where he spoke about how, to him, it seemed very clear that the Wyatt Six are going to go after Jey Uso. And I fully expect there to be quotes and stuff doing the rounds online where it says the Wyatt Six are going to go after Jey Uso, and Wrestling Observer will be tagged in it, right? But if you listen to the actual interview, it's quite clear that he hasn't got that information from any source. He is just looking at the fact that Jey uses the Fireflies and that he was in the main event and then the group arrived moments later. He basically was saying, you know, it just seems like it's going that way. So the thing is that sometimes he'll talk and I think he has got some sources. I do think there's people that he knows. I think he's got a lot of contacts. I do think there's people in the different companies that he can reach out to get information. Sometimes he'll have that information and he'll present it. Sometimes he just shares his thoughts. But a lot of these companies, a lot of these, like, you know, your Wrestle Talks, whatever, your Sports Keeders, whatever, they won't really differentiate between the two. They'll just quote it and quote Dave Meltzer. And so, of course, if you see Dave Meltzer's name, you kind of think that, well, he must have got that from somewhere. When actually, if you listen to a lot of the radio shows, it's actually him just speculating and shooting off the cuff. And it could have just been one of those. Could have just been one of those where Dave Meltzer has said, I think they're going after, they're stacking it because I think they see AEW as having a difficult week this week with the competition they've got. Hence, then everyone jumps on it and reports that that's fact. So it absolutely could have been one of those. I definitely did read that they wanted to give a black eye, but I can't remember where I saw it. What are faces? No matter what anyone think, Wyatt's are faces. No matter what anyone thinks, wouldn't make sense to put them against Jey. It's just not happening, said Vita for Life. Well, I agree. I'm with you, but there is a consensus out there that feel that this group should be heels. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is, at the end of the day, it's kind of redundant because they're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to go after whoever they're planning to go after. And we're just going to have to see if it works for us and if it fits. And, you know, if they do go after Jey, and it plays that way, we will watch it and we will see how we feel about it, you know, and see if it fits and see if it works. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's not the direction I would take them. I feel like a feud with Judgment Day or something like that makes more sense to me. A feud with Judgment Day could be what actually splits that group up as well. That could be. I mean, imagine the pressure that all of them would be under if they feuded with the Wyatts. I mean, they seem pretty close to breaking at times anyway. Here's Wendy Chu. Wendy is look at the look on her face, man. Wendy, so moody. I love this new evolution of her character. I think it's so interesting. It's got a darkness to it, of course it has, but she doesn't do anything like supernatural or anything like that. And she's always been weird. I mean, she's wrestled whilst wearing pajamas and carried a pillow to the ring, so she's always been strange. So why not just lean into that strangeness? Why not evolve that strangeness and make the character a little darker? And I think it's a good evolution for her. Oh, she went with a crossbody there, and she kind of fell a bit short. I wonder if Wendy Chu's going to like be working with Fallon, because that's going to be a weird partnership. Fallon back in the corner, charges over. Nice kick down. 1, 2, 3. It's a win for Fallon. K-Dub said Meltzer just spits the haterade. Okay, we're back in the parking lot. Is that Eddie Thorpe? He's got a nice car, isn't he? Are they leading Brooks Jensen to the police car in the background? I think they are, aren't they? Someone's being led to a police car, and that's got to be Brooks Jensen. NXT is hot right now. Dun, 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 dun. Right, here we go then. Next match looks like we've got Chase U coming out. The hail is all worked up. So it's going to be Andre Chase and Duke Hudson. So it's going to be OC against Chase U. That's going to be our next match. Probably, is it a bit early for this to be our main event? Probably is, isn't it? Oh, we know. And of course, it is. Javon's our main event. Lovely. NXT is hot right now, said Kia. Police in the background. Did you notice the ceiling lights in Gorilla during the Wyatt 6 massacre went red and blue? Could the colours represent red for Raw and blue for SmackDown, said Troy. I don't know, to be honest, because Bray used to have red and blue lights behind him. I sort of feel like that is... I remember this being a conversation for quite a few Bray promos from like the end of 2022 with the whole red and the blue light. And I remember people saying that that was just the way they had the light in. That was just the way they did the light in. Like red and blue was quite often in the background for things. So it could be a little Easter egg to suggest they're going to SmackDown, but I feel like we've been down that road before. When Bray came back in 2022, it didn't really lead us anywhere. So I would say good spot. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on it, but there is a chance it probably isn't going to lead to that because we did have that in 2022 as well. Paranormal Presence said, I tagged you in something on X. I think you will laugh. Well, I better laugh. I better laugh because you've said I'm going to laugh now. Have a little look, shall we? X gon' give it to you. Gon' give it to you. X gon' give it to you. Brooks Jensen was in the crowds, which is why Wesley paused. That's like, is that fan footage? There he is, look. God, he's really putting up a fight, isn't he? Do you know how I said about like the details and like really selling stuff? Look at this. We didn't even see this on the flipping show, but look at the fight that he's putting up there. Look at that. Go on, Brooks. Go on, mate. Kayfabe's flipping alive and well. Respect. Look at him. We never even saw this on the flipping broadcast. Go on, Brooks. Go on. I'd love it if he still put up a fight. All that time. He's a method actor. Do you know what I mean? Once he's in the role, he's in the role. He's basically flipping Daniel Day-Lewis. You're not going to get him out. Like, all the while the show's been going on, he's been struggling. And they've legit had to, like, call the police. It's like, Brooks, you can't do this. Once your segment has ended, you've got to get out of character. Yes, I know, darling, I know. But it's just so difficult for me to do that. Because once I'm in the role, I live the role. Nah, fair play. God bless him. Kayfabe alive and well. Shakeem, Anofi, I should have won. What's Anofi got to say? Who's he talking to?
Come on. Mom, look. Do you
Who's he talking to?
those plane tickets? That's what I'm saying. I should have won. They cheated. Hey, what are you doing recording me? Get out of my face. What are you doing? They cheated. I should have won that. Like, I didn't slap Tony D. That was Lexus King. And he blamed it on that. You stay away from me. You leave me alone. Mom, you're pissing me off.
Who's filming though? Who's he talking to? Was that a Nofi that was filming? It's a Nofi that says I should have won. Oh, hello. I don't know. I don't quite get that. What are we looking at? I don't know what we're looking at. Here's Trick and the young OG. Evolution of the puppets. That's fun. Chew Crew. They've got pictures up in the background. Chew Crew. I don't think he belongs here in NXT, says Trick about Ethan. Tonight I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to get that W. It's all it is. It's all it's going to be. Let's go. What's the best gimmick in pro wrestling? Oh, Undertaker. Undertaker. It's got to be the best gimmick. Amazing. I mean, Sheik was good. But I feel like in WWE, I would go Undertaker. I mean, think of the money that he drew. Right, tag team action. Gallows Anderson. Do I need to end this poll? I do, don't I? How long have we got? 25 minutes. Michin coming out with Gallows and Anderson. So 58, great, all-time bads. Michin coming out with Gallows and Anderson. The Good Brothers. OG has got to win tonight. Trick versus Page was poor at Battleground, said Paul. Yeah, oh God, I so love the young OG. He's got to be one of my favourite wrestlers right now, you know. I love Gunther, I love Sammy, I love Elia. I can't say that I love Uncle Howdy at the moment because I haven't seen him wrestle. But, I mean, clearly I'm on board with the whole Wyatt 6, right? But actually, like, you know, watching people compete, that's the style that I love, that sort of getting stuck in. Battling away, trying to get that win, digging deep. He is so good at that. And he really, I mean, he is such a lovely blend because he does all that aerial stuff, but he sells it. He sells it. He's in the corner, like holding onto his ribs, sucking in air and like, so good. Watching him battling for a championship on a big stage, like willing him on, like he's just got it, and he's just got it. He gets it. A very special talent. I wonder... I can't remember the last time I saw someone in NXT that was that instant, that exciting, that just, they've got it. They've got it. I mean, I will say, the first time I saw Roxanne, after hearing about Roxanne, definitely could see what the hype was about. Definitely you could see, oh yeah, she's good. You could definitely see it. But I am more excited about Javon. But yeah, I don't know, male-wise, what was the last person that we saw in NXT that made you go, that's it, they've got it? Balor? Balor? But we knew Balor from New Japan, but yeah. Young OG, I mean, I just didn't know anything about him till I saw him. He's so young. I know he's been in other promotions, but I never saw him. I don't know that I can give you a comparison. Mitchell, go to bed. Daze, your new name is the Young OD. Well, listen, Mr. B, I appreciate the fact that that you've used the word young there. Gallows with a big boot as Andre Chase goes down. Thomas said, with his in-ring ability, creativity, and longevity, where do we rank Rey Mysterio? I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a ranking. I can't really go, well, he's number 7, you know. I think that's an interesting one, Rey Mysterio. The way I always think about that question is that kind of S tier, A tier, B tier, that kind of way. Is he S tier? Does he belong with a Stone Cold and a Rock? He was never the... well... I would say there was a brief moment that he was the face. I mean, I would say when Eddie passed and he got the Rumble win and he went for the title, I would say he was like the biggest thing. But he's never really... we've never had the Rey Mysterio era, you know? But it's different in Mexico, isn't it? In Mexico, he's revered as a flipping god. I mean, he is regarded as arguably... the greatest mass wrestler of all time. I mean, clearly there's others in that conversation like El Santo, Mil Mascares, Blue Demon, but he's in the mix, right? And I think in regards to mass wrestlers, S tier. In regards to Mexican wrestlers, even though Rey was born in America, he identifies as American Mexican. I think you'd say S tier. In regards to WWE, where you've got to compete with The Rock and Stone Cold and Cena and Hogan and, do you know what I mean, that kind of level, I think it's A tier. I think he's on the same level as, like, a Brett and a Shawn. That's not a bad level to be on. But I don't know that I can put Brett and Shawn on S tier. For in-ring ability, it's undeniable. But... for overall sort of impact, does Brett get to S tier? S tier's that, it's that extra step in it. It's that you was the face of an era. It's the Stone Cold, it's the Hogan, it's the Cena. That's S tier to me. I don't know that Brett gets to that level. He's like A plus. Is it like in between? Rey, I think, is just straight up A tier for me. If we were to do him in that kind of thing, I think I'd put him in A tier. But it depends what the question is, because if it's Mexican wrestlers or mass wrestlers or high flyers, he's S tier in all of those all day long. All day long. 1, 2, 3. Oh, was there a bit of cheating there? Was there cheating? There's a win for Chase U. We didn't see it from that camera angle, but Duke Hudson keeps staring and looking at... yeah, they're saying that they cheated, and I think they cheated. Kalani is meeting up with Ava. Oh, there's Stevie. We've been seeing more of Stevie. I like Stevie. It's someone that never complains. Someone that deserves a shot. Here's Ariana Grace. So Ariana Grace thinks that she's talking about her. I just want to say thank you. I wasn't really talking about you. Who would that be? Saruka? Saruka? She doesn't carry herself like a champion. She serves. She doesn't carry herself like a champion. She serves. That's a great line. Clearly champions don't serve. Stevie is fuming. Ah, there's the music, man. There's the music. It's just flipping worth tuning in for this bit. That trick. What that trick. What that trick. I should have this as my alarm. When I go to bed and it's time to get up, I reckon I'll be asleep like this. This will play and I'll be like... Might put a smile on your face first thing in the morning. Yeah. Dancing your way down to get some toast. Flipping love it, man. I think that's one of the best themes. You still didn't see what I tagged you with? No, I didn't. I got what I like to call distracted. Did you tag me in it again? Will I ever find it? Will I ever find it? What's that? My mom just bought me plane tickets to Canada for the whole family so they can watch me in the NXT Championship at Heatwave. Huh? Can't wait to win the Battle Royal tonight. Oh, right. Oh, well, that went well. That went well. This is Brooks Jensen's new name. Ben Buchanan. Hi, Marks. Hello. Ben Buchanan is his new name. What? He's only got 810 followers. Did he start again? Well, I follow him now. He's got 8. Oh, I'm 811. Oh yeah. You should follow him because then you'll know exactly what number you are. I'm 811. That's pretty fun. Ben Buchanan. Briggsy, shout out to you. Paranormal, look, I'm looking. Shaquem, Detective of Wrestling. Matt, Jono. Oh, here it is. Backstage and Gorilla getting slaughtered by Wyatt 6. Jay Uso. Can't play music, can I? Copyright, mate. Copyright. You're trying to shut the stream down, aren't you? I'm on to you. You work for that AEW, don't you? Oh, hello. Honestly, it's quite a walk going through my notifications. You never quite know what's going to pop up. It was shocking, Axery. You're absolutely right. It was shocking. I watched the live throughout the show. There were too many of us online for all the messages to get through, but I loved the reaction. That's very kind. That's very kind. Right, main event time. We've got about 13 minutes, and we've got an 8-minute overrun. Big Time said, every time Daze does the trick theme with his mouth, I've got to turn the volume down. It sounds like moaning. Sounds like moaning. Oh, I'll bear that in mind. I can't help it, though. It's a proper one that just... can't get it out of my head. I can't get it out of my head. It's one of those that really, once it's in there, I think it's brilliant. I don't know if it's Def Rebel or not. I mean, I have to think not, because they are pretty awful, but I think it's brilliant. It's one of the best. I feel like one of those old guys. Do you remember my uncle honestly said to me when I was younger, it was like, do you like current music? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I've been listening to a few things. He's like, I really like that Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne. And the way he said it, I was like, oh, God. Just doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? Didn't seem right. Your uncle, that, you know that Skater Boy? That's a good one, isn't it? I like that. I can get down with a bit of Skater Boy. Oh, it's just a bit cringe. I feel like that when I say, like, oh, yeah, I really like this trick theme. It's a good one. They've actually made a good one. I feel like an old man. Oh, I don't like all the other music today. All that other nonsense. But I do like a bit of that Trick Williams theme. I can't wait to be that guy that complains about, like, current music. I'm not there now, though. Listening to Sexy Red. Ski. Right, we're listening to Chase You at the moment. Complicated is better, said Alkaline Prime. Well, you can have that conversation with him, yeah? You just beat the OC. We should be celebrating. Let's go. You can see that this is something that's... This is a damn joke. Okay, we got Fallon, we got JC, we got Jasmine. Fallon and JC are really good. They're really comfortable. They're really confident. Like the way that she's like... They're really like dialed into their characters. They've been doing them so long, they know them now. Next week, we got Sol Ruka against Ariana Grace. Oh, it's good to see Ariana Grace back in action. Tag Team Turmoil, the winners will take on Frazier and Axiom at Heatwave. So Tag Team Turmoil match next week. What else we got? Whoop that Daze. Whoop that Daze. Tony is taking on Nathan Frazier in the NXT Heritage Cup. That's next week as well. There is the Javon Evans. Trick Williams on commentary. Look at the kids in the background, man. They are loving it. Uncle Buck. Come on, Uncle Buck. Uncle Buck. So Booker was having a go at Trick because Trick was showing some respect to Vic Joseph. Uncle Buck. What a film. Ethan Page making his way down. Trick on commentary. Yes, yes, yes. Ethan versus Javon Evans. The young OG. We've done Javon Evans dirty, man. He's just been in a pretty hellacious battle royal. So has Ethan Page, in all fairness. But Javon's banged up. Tracy said they're not going to go after Jay. They were just using him as a reason for people to have Fireflies ready and waiting and distracted whilst the debut was being set, said Tracy. There. Shots coming in there by Javon. Javon goes down against the ropes. Tony said, I'm at the age and stage of life where I feel like I'm Uncle Buck. Damn, who's going to win this? Both guys could, said K-Dub. Yeah, both guys could, actually. I think Javon is definitely the one they're looking to invest in, and rightfully so, but he's injured. I mean, look at him, man. Look at him blowing and holding his ribs and selling. And, you know, he's feeling it already. Ethan Page is in a much better condition right now. So this is a weakened Javon, which means that really Ethan should get the win in this. You know, Ethan, with his experience against a weakened Javon, should pick up the victory. Picks up Javon. Slams him down. Don't worry about that, said Trick. That's the young OG. He knows how to fight. That's a very innovative move by Ethan. Knee to the back there as well. Chop coming in. Missed the fact that CM Punk showed Drew the 2 count. He was copying the WrestleMania Dream meme shirt that Drew used to wear, said Nate. Nate, shout out to you. Mitchell said, I just don't think a journalist should be biased towards one company. That's why I have an issue with Meltzer. Lately, he seems to be really hating WWE and defending everything AEW. Yeah, I think, to be honest, there's one of the things that I think has happened, and I don't know if this is because of social media or if this is just how he's always sort of felt, but you do see a lot of people going at him for treating the two companies different. And so I think he spends a lot of his time sort of defending that position, if you will, right? But the more he defends that position, the more he like tries to say, no, I'm fair and I'm equal to both companies, the less it seems like he's fair and equal to both companies, you know? Really, he probably should just sort of get off Twitter or do Twitter different rather than like engaging with people that are, you know, throwing in like hate and whatever. He probably should just be, you know, Dave Meltzer probably ideally should be someone that's like posting facts about wrestling, you know, and talking about history and all that kind of stuff. But instead, he just spends most of his time replying to people that are hating on him, and so like it just all ramps up, you know. I don't think his Twitter game is very good, to be honest. I don't think it helps his image at all. I really like Meltzer for I think he's got a good knowledge. I mean, he has watched, you've got someone there that's watched wrestling since what God only knows when he started, but I mean the Observer goes back to the late 80s, so you've got what a source of information that is, right? It's one thing to talk about the future and talk about, speculate about, I think it's going here, I've been told it's going there. But it's a different thing to have all of that knowledge of actually seeing what has happened in the past. And he's got all that. He's got all that. He's watched all of those shows. And when I say all those shows, I mean like not only WWE, WCW, TNA, AEW, but like all the Japanese shows, and he's got knowledge of like the indies as well, and you know he's just a fountain, an absolute fountain of information. You know, he will have forgotten more than I will ever know, and he will have forgotten more than most of us will ever know. So I do sort of look at that and go, oh, I got a bit of respect for that. I got respect for that. It's hard to not have respect for that. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I don't agree with his star ratings. I don't agree with his Twitter approach. I think that he naturally favors the AEW style of wrestling. That is the style he prefers. And so that shows in his appreciation for that company. And I just don't think he really cares so much for the WWE style. I don't think that's a style that he really enjoys as much. And I think that shows as well. So I think there is a bit of a bias that exists, but I don't know that there's a malice. I don't know that he does it on purpose. I don't know that he is like setting out to bring WWE down like some people think. It might just be as simple as he prefers the AEW style, you know? And that's it. He prefers the AEW style over the WWE style, and he prefers New Japan over WWE, so he scores them higher. He's full of praise for them, but the WWE stuff just doesn't appeal so much. But this is where it's a problem that if you're a journalist, then you probably can't afford to be giving your opinions. You probably should just be reporting what's happening rather than like sharing your thoughts as well. Because that's where he runs into trouble, really, is where he, you know, expresses that he's into one promotion more than the other, you know? And certainly when the promotion that you're not really into just happens to be the biggest in the world. The biggest in North America, the biggest in the world. And you just, you know, it's not really my thing, really. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? But I think for his knowledge, you got to give him props for that. I think when a wrestler passes away, like a legend is very, very good at writing their, like, write-up of their careers, you know? I've heard even Jim Cornette saying that he would, you know, look forward to reading the write-up of Dave was at. I don't think he does now, but back in the day, you know, Jim Cornette was an Observer subscriber. Not anymore. But even, like, Jim that can't stand Dave Meltzer anymore, you know, there was a respect there. I mean, Meltzer had been on Cornette's show, and Meltzer had given Cornette loads of awards over the years and whatever, so it's a bit of a shame, really. I wish there was a way of kind of bringing him back into the fold. I wish there was a way of, like, him maybe not being on the outside, but I don't think he helps himself, to be honest. I don't know that he's bothered either, but it's a bit of a shame. You got someone there that's very knowledgeable. He's made his mark on wrestling as well. It might not be a great mark, but he's definitely made his mark. I mean, when Dave Meltzer passes away, it will be a very big, newsworthy moment in like wrestling. What he did with like the whole Observer and everything, and the star ratings. I mean, there's plenty of wrestlers that care about the Dave Meltzer star ratings, and they set out to try and get a 5-star Dave Meltzer match, you know. So if he passes away, like that'll be a moment. It'll be a big, massive talking point in the wrestling world. Bob Backlund was my high school wrestling coach, said Wicked Dust, for a few years, and he was a trash coach. Was he? Bob Backlund was your high school wrestling coach. Jesus, that's amazing. And he was rubbish. That's amazing. Naledi, shout out to you, my friends. Daze, I acknowledge you for all your hard work. Well, it's the hard work of everyone, but everyone was chipping in. And all I was doing was like presenting people's thoughts, trying to give credit where it was due. There was obviously, I was getting sent like, you know, 30, 40 times like the same information. So I'd always just tend to run with the first that I got to, the first I saw. But I am fully aware of the amount of stuff that people were sending, you know. Young OG went for a cover, but shoulder up there by Ethan. So, no, a big shout out to everybody. JP said Rey Mysterio is always 619 and Mexican tier. Yeah, a tricky one, I think, Rey. I think he definitely is up in the mix, and I think he more than deserves his props. I mean, the impact Rey has had on wrestling is undeniable. So he's got to be up there, hasn't he? There or thereabouts. And as we said, mass wrestlers, high flyers, Mexican wrestlers. He's got to be S tier, isn't he? In my opinion. Right, Javon versus Ethan. Clothesline there by Ethan. How long have we got? We're into the overrun. Javon should win this, said Brony. I can't stand Meltzer, but I ain't going to celebrate his death. That is just over the top. Yeah, that'd be a shame. I ain't done nothing to deserve that, in my opinion. Javon is climbing up. Ethan Page is down. This is our main event. We've got around about 5 minutes or so to go. This is a really weak main event for NXT standards, said Big Time. Oh. 1, 2. Ethan's going to get the win, and he does. I wonder if we get something else to close this out. Ethan wins. But we've got a new #1 contender. Did he just say we've got a new #1 contender? So that main event match was for... Yeah. Okay, well, Vic Joseph just said he beat the #1 contender, but he didn't say that we've replaced the #1 contender. I guess that means I'm #1 contender, says Ethan. Now Sean Spears has got in the ring and he's pounding away on Javon. Look at Trick go, man. Look at the shots that Trick was throwing in. Well, Trick's being beaten down, so we had Sean Spears come down. Well, that's a tricky. I really love the young OG, and I want to see him compete against Trick. But perhaps they're thinking this is just a bit too soon. But then, are we building towards a fatal 4-way, maybe? So, nice springboard back elbows. Everyone's down. That sort of suggests a fatal 4-way, doesn't it? All 4 guys down with the belt in the middle of the ring. Screams fatal 4-way, doesn't it? Screams it. And that is it for NXT. Sean Spears is back. When do we think Ober's going to get dethroned? I don't think he gets dethroned anytime soon. I mean, obviously, I expect him to have a run with the NXT Championship, but I just don't think that's happening, as we said, anytime soon. Sean Spears did nothing to earn a title match. That is true, actually. That is true. I don't think he did either, but that ending certainly feels like he's in the mix, in the pot, you know? So I'd have to think that there's a chance there that he will get that title opportunity. I am being really stupid. Why is it Wyatt 6 when there's 5? We're expecting one more to join. We think it'll be Alexa. There's other people with theories that this is actually Bray, and that it's Bray that's going to, like, you know, Bray is that 6th member. He is, you know, his spirit. Which, you know, maybe it could be, but I don't think it is. I don't think it's that. I went to AMC Theatre number 16 in Schererville, Indiana to see Inside Out 2. Well, I hope you had a good time. Carmen Live 2. Mitchell said that kind of renders that Battle Royal a bit useless. It does, doesn't it? Deadpool Party said AEW versus NXT. It's not happening. A. Jobson said, oh, do you mean like in the match? Because it's going to be Sean and Ethan against Javon and Trick. Got you. I thought you meant let's do that as a show. Brandon gives it 10 out of 10. Did they mention the Wyatt 6 tonight? I don't think so. I didn't hear them mention it. They may have mentioned it on commentary, but I didn't hear it get mentioned. There was no QR codes. They didn't arrive. I think we were very clear, though, in saying that we weren't expecting that. Maybe some were expecting that. I wasn't expecting it. I think that tonight, you know, if the QR codes had been on NXT every week, then I'd probably feel different. But to be honest, they'd only been on NXT once. And so I think they just sort of ticked the NXT box, really. It's like, we're going to, you know, we're going to put it on NXT just like we put it on Twitch. Just like we put it on WhatsApp. Just like we did a TikTok, you know? We sort of did it so that it got NXT spoke about that week. But I don't think they're really focused on NXT. They're focused on the main roster, Raw, and maybe Smackdown. I mean, we do need to keep an eye out for the journal to see if the journal gets updated. Because the journal could get updated at any point, right? I'm just actually checking it now. The journal could get updated and it could say, like, see you Friday, something like that. Did you enjoy the show on Monday? Wait till you see what Friday brings, or it could be something like that, couldn't it? But nothing in the journal. Nothing in the journal. Wyatt to Smackdown, said K-pop lover. They did mention, but it was briefly, said Corey. Corey, thank you. First hour was good. Second hour, not so much, said Big Time. Do we think the bride was pointing to the massacre, those QR code pics? I don't know, because I don't feel like we got an answer, did we? I mean, the bride was... right now, I think that most people are under the impression Nikki was the bride. I still don't think that's been confirmed, but most people are under that impression. She did point, just like the bride that we saw pointing, but why was the bride pointing in the cabin? What was she pointing at? She can't be pointing at a massacre in the cabin. So what was she pointing at in the cabin? I understand she was pointing, like, go backstage to the cameraman, see what we've done, right? I get that. But what was the pointing in the cabin about? Was she rehearsing? Did she need to practice her pointing? Do you reckon she got it wrong? She was like, they're like, no, it's not that way. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. Because she's Scottish. Oh, I'm really sorry. No, it's not that. Oh, I keep doing it wrong, don't I? That's Scottish, by the way. And then eventually they're like, yes, that's it. That's the one. Yes. You're going to kill it. You're going to kill it when we do the massacre. So, in answer to your question, I don't know. I don't know what the pointing was for in the cabin. Hopefully, it would be great if we find out. I think that would actually be really appreciated if we were able to sit down and like do some sort of QR code where we could just get the pieces sort of together and like some missing footage. Maybe just see what she was pointing at a little bit more. You know, it might be that she's pointing at a flipping map on the wall with Corpus Christi that was circled. It might be that she was pointing and, like, you know, to where they were going to debut. And at least that would give us the answer as to what she was pointing at. One of the things that Bray famously said in one of his interviews was that he hates giving answers away. He thinks it's so boring. He thinks it's really boring to give answers away because you kind of reveal everything and then it's redundant then. It's better to keep things a mystery because they'll stay a mystery and they'll stay in your brain and they'll continue to bother you, you know? So he was like, it's just so boring to talk. I think it was Ryan Satin that was like, I really appreciate you doing this interview because you don't do many interviews. And he was like, yeah, I don't really like to kind of reveal too much. It's just so boring. I think his exact words were, people talk too much these days. That's what Bray said. So, which is very true of this channel. And so I think that they probably subscribe to that same sort of mentality of, you know, even now they're here keeping things, certain things a mystery. People talk too much. You talk too much. You never shut up. I said you talk too much. The show sucked, says Brads. I believe Joe Hendry deserves to be the next guy to challenge the NXT Championship. 6.5, said Mitchell. I hate they basically had a battle royal and it didn't mean anything. Well, to be honest, the battle royal, they really teased there was going to be people from other promotions. And in all fairness, we did get Joe Hendry and we did get Frankie Kazarian and we did get some people from Raw and SmackDown. But was anyone else expecting that to be a bigger deal and for it to maybe close the show and for us to do entrances for maybe Josh Alexander, Joe Hendry, Mustafa Ali, like actually bringing like a battle royal was an opportunity to have a few TNA stars in there. Instead, we started the show with it. We brought out Joe Hendry, which, you know, that's going to be a moment that's going to have played well on social media. And I mean, he gets eliminated immediately, and it's basically then just a WWE Battle Royal, really, isn't it? With Frankie Kazarian, and I don't even know where he's signed at the moment. I don't know, actually. We should look at that. Where is he signed? Frankie Kazarian. He is currently signed to TNA. So, technically, he was a second TNA star. But he didn't even get an entrance. Didn't even get entrance music or anything. He was just flipping in the ring. So, yeah, you know, I've got to agree. I think the Battle Royal didn't quite live up to what I was hoping for. There was some interesting stuff on the show, but it does maybe feel a little bit of a step down from what we've had in recent weeks. But doesn't matter. Hopefully we can get right back on it next week as we head towards Heatwave. Is Botchamania a running joke or is it a segment that happened recently? Botchamania is a video series of botches that's been going for, oh gods. Well, I don't even know. I don't even know when the first Botchamania was, but I think it's like an easy 10 years. And they keep shutting it down because obviously they keep using footage from the shows. They keep getting copyright strikes and the channels keep getting shut down. So it keeps sort of moving around, but it's still there. You can search Botchamania and you'll find the episodes. I think there's a lot of episodes that are on Daily Motion that have not been took down. I'm sure there's other places you can find them as well. They're very good. I mean, they just basically are compilations of botches from that week. And but they're very popular. People, you know, it's that's another one really. I think there's certain things in the wrestling community, like Dave Meltzer, who's not a wrestler, right? Like Botchamania, who, you know, Matthew's not a wrestler. But these are things that really are, like, very well known within wrestling. And I think, like, you know, you've got quite a few things like that in wrestling. That even though they're not wrestlers or they're not made by WWE or they're not made by AEW, they are very popular and they've got their own, like, little space. And Botchamania is one of those. Daisy did get an entrance. Oh, I didn't see an entrance. I didn't get an entrance. Perhaps we were a bit delayed getting onto it on WWE Network or something. I just had a graphic, and then when the graphic ended, we were just showing all the people in the ring, and then the first person I saw come out was Joe Hendry. So that's interesting. If you got one in America. It was the Wyatt 6 on NXT. No, we didn't expect them, to be honest. I've never heard of Botchamania. Oh, that's interesting. Really? Well, check them out. I think you'll enjoy it. Austin said, I didn't see an entrance. Well, that's interesting. Oh, right. Okay. MTTRDDN said, Kazarian did get an entrance, but it was just on X and Instagram. Doesn't count. That doesn't count. TBH said, I've noticed a lot of people bring in Botchamania in the chat during matches, so I guess botches just add up. Yeah, well, no, I mean, like, so basically, if someone does botch, if you've been in the wrestling community for a while, one of the first things you'll think about is Botchamania. Like, oh, I bet that'll be on Botchamania. And so, you know, it's the same like if someone gets put through a table and the table doesn't break, you'll probably see people put "I am the table," because that's a famous like moment in Botchamania where part of their video is people being put through tables, but the tables don't break, and then they go, "I am the table." And it's just become like a really famous thing. In fact, I got a Wrestle Crate years ago, and in there was a badge, a pin badge that said, "I am the table," and it had a wrestling table set up. And that was the pin badge, "I am the table." And so that was a really cool pin badge. I should hopefully still have that somewhere. I'm going to have a look, see if it's in my mugs. I want to see if I've got that badge. Love that badge. Oh, trash in the place. Don't. Ah, I am the table. No, I don't, unfortunately. But I did find a couple of other things. Look, I found this, which is amazing, and I don't know if it's got a date on it. I don't think it does. I'm pretty sure I got this from a house show in the flipping early 90s. I think this is from a house show in like 94, 95. It's like a necklace thing that you put on there. And it's Bret Hart. I'm pretty sure I got that from a house show in the early 90s. That's a fun item, isn't it? I should have a look, see if anyone's selling these. Proper, authentic. Got it from the actual show. That's pretty fun. That is a pretty fun item. So there's a Bret Hart pendant. And then the other thing, I spoke about this the other day. This is another thing I got from a house show in the early 90s. Do you remember I told you about my Shawn Michaels earrings? Look at that. Look at that. That says Shawn. And I've got the other one that says Michaels. And that was from a house show in the early 90s. I wonder if I can put that on. It's got the... it's obviously not for pierced ears. Can I get it on? Oh, Shawn! I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. Got the looks. Drive the girls wild. Yeah. Oh, Shawn. Yeah, look at me. Look at me. Let's go. If I can find the Michaels, that's longer. That one goes down to about here, the Michaels. And I've got the Shawn Michaels cap as well. Oh, mate, I'm done for. I'm sorted for flipping Halloween. Look at that. So you're all jealous now, aren't you? You're all jealous now. Yeah, you all want HBK earrings. So that was a fun find. Imagine being a kid going to a house show going, "Mum, can I get those earrings?" I want to be like Shawn Michaels. I want to be just like Shawn. I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. Let's go. You need to wear that for the whole stream, said Austin. Tony. Tony said, I can't tell the difference between Shawn and Daze. It's shocking, isn't it? It's shocking. I'm like Shawn Michaels on his worst day. Sexy Days. Sexy Days. Yes. Raw came to Albany years ago and I got soaked by Stone Cold. He drove that beer truck to the ring and then soaked us all with a beer bath. That's amazing. To say that you actually got soaked by Stone Cold and the whole beer truck thing, that is amazing. That's really fun. Daze, he knows he's cute. He knows he's sexy. Yes. Daze puts the D in DX. I'm not the one saying this. I'm not the one saying this. Amazing. EH30 said, how did you like the Wyatt 6 debut? I really liked it, mate. I really liked it. I thought they did about as good a job as they could do. I like to be fair, right? I mean, I don't really want to be getting a reputation of just loving everything WWE do, because, I mean, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that we've criticized WWE plenty, right? So in order of balance, I would say, first of all, I definitely don't want anyone to have been killed, right? I think that's going to be a hard thing to overcome, right? Because then people had families, damn it, right? So I'm hoping that they were all just unconscious, and I think they were, right? And then also, I think we probably could have had less people get laid out by this group. But you know how rubbish security guards are, right? We've seen flipping Cody lay out about 20 of them. So I think a lot of those were just security, just, you know, enhancement talent jobbers that they bring in for just be a body, right? We need to make this look like a massacre, so just be a body. For example, you know, Chad Gable is down and he was slumped against the box and there was blood and everything. I mean, clearly Gable's not dead, right? And I think the same of, like, all the others as well. I think they're just unconscious. I think it's message sent. But did we need that many people? And also, I would just say, a lot. If you think that, like, Braun came running down at the end of the show, at the end of the match, and so did Judgment Day, that means surely when Braun was back there, he wasn't, unless he's secretly a part of it, of course. But chances are Gorilla was fine. So it's a very short space of time for them to cause that amount of carnage. It's a very short space of time for them to do that. And I would also say that we didn't really get any indication of that happening. It would have been good if the lights flickered or the LED screen flickered or music played, and it shouldn't have, or at least Michael Cole be like, are you hearing this? Have we got Hunter? Like, some, do you know what I mean? Something like that, where at least we're just getting some indication something's not right. To end the match and then just go into that and then to see what we saw was like, I mean, it was good. It was really good. I would just say those little niggles, those tiny criticisms are what stopped it being 10 out of 10 for me. But I'm at like a 9.25, 9.5. I mean, I absolutely loved it. The most important stuff, they nailed it. And I said, like, for me, the most important thing was Uncle Howdy. Because Uncle Howdy, I don't think the Howdy I saw in 2022, 2023 was good enough to carry the weight of this group. You know, that was the Uncle Howdy that would be in the entranceway doing that, pretending to laugh. Like, it felt a bit fake, it felt a bit forced, it felt a bit wide of the mark. It didn't quite stick its landing for me when we got to see Howdy in the arena in 2022, 2023. But the Howdy that I saw last night, it's a different beast, man. It's a completely different beast. The dreads look amazing. The updated gear looks amazing. His confidence in the character, his arrogance, the way he moved, just it felt so natural. It felt more natural. It didn't feel scripted. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel fake. It didn't feel phony. They landed it. And the new masks look so good. Like, the group as a collective looks so good. The crowd reaction to it was brilliant. Yeah, for me, like, as I said, I'll throw in a few little criticisms for balance, right? Because I don't want to just sit here and go, it's 10 out of 10. It was perfect. I don't want to really do that. Not when I think there were a few things that I would have tweaked. But that is what we're talking about. We're talking about tweaks. I suppose I've got a little concern about the rabbit mask and the Mercy match, just because they're really big and they're fine for, like, doing an entrance. Of course they are. But I don't know. They seem quite big, quite heavy. I kind of feel like, like how the Husker Swan is quite small and it's a bit more compact. Like, was there not a way of making the rabbit one a bit smaller, maybe? It seems quite big. Seems quite big, the Rambling Rabbit one that Rowan has to wear. Was there not a way of making it a bit more compact for him? Does he have to come down with something like this? I don't know. That one seems quite a chunky monkey. But, you know, it looks really good. It looks impressive. Have I got a picture of them? I should do. I mean, look at that. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to not just go, wow. Even the Mercy one looks big. I mean, I'm guessing those dreads are attached to the mask for Mercy. But you see how, like, the Huskus one is quite compact. And what Nikki's got is quite compact. And what Howdy has got is quite compact. And then you've got, like, this big Mercy mask and that big rabbit one as well. But, it doesn't matter. I mean, they look awesome. And look at the mannerisms of Bo. Look at him with like his mouth open there and the facial hair that he's got and everything. And he is just like living that character, isn't he? They look so good. This can go wrong. Yeah, we know it can go wrong. We don't really need people telling us that it can go wrong. We're aware that it can go wrong. We don't want it to go wrong. We want it to succeed. We want it to work. And all you can say is so far so good. I mean, really, honestly, all you can say is so far so good. I think if there's any criticisms, to me, they're minor criticisms. I think Nightbird was amazing. I think the look of this group is amazing. I think the symbolism that they're using is amazing. Yeah, I understand there's questions about where do we go from here, and I think they're perfectly acceptable questions to have, but I also think that they will have it all planned out. I think they'll know where they're going, so I think that it'll be okay. Your live stream on Monday did like WrestleMania numbers. Raw did 1.7, the highest since April, and that was against NBA, said Big Time. Yeah, I mean, amazing support from the community. I think that this was a bit of a weird one for us, because those kinds of numbers that the Raw stream did would suggest that Raw would be doing a bigger number than 1.7. Because of the fact we got 80,000 people join us for Raw, it made me think that Raw was going to post like a significantly high number this week. I was ready for 1.95. I didn't know if it would reach 2, but I was ready for it to be, you know, if it had reached 2, I was not going to be shocked. So the numbers on the stream sort of told me that, wow, there was a lot of engagement here. But I think maybe we just benefited a little more than WWE did, in the sense of, you know, we normally do say 10 to 12,000 people for Raw, and this did like nearly 8x that. There's no way that WWE were ever going to 8x their Raw rating, you know? They were never going to do that. So I was ready for it to see an increase, though. I just think that we've been, you know, WWE obviously talks about and focuses on all of their stories, where we have been very heavy into the Nightbird stuff, haven't we? You know, we've really dialed into that. We haven't spoken so much about like Liv and Dom and all the other stuff. We haven't really dialed into all of those things. We just really went heavy into Nightbird. So I think for yesterday, it kind of meant that I think people sort of trusted hanging out with us as a community. And I think people sort of trusted, like, this feels like a good place to be for this week's show, you know? So I think we sort of benefit from that. And obviously I'm eternally grateful that people felt that way, and that we obviously drew the numbers that we drew. That's clearly not going to be the norm, right? That's just an exception, but how cool that like people felt that way and they were able to come and like join us. So I'm sure everyone in the space benefited, and I hope that they did. I mean, you know, you want to see a good, vibrant wrestling space. Like, you know, they say that the rising tide lifts all ships, you know, and that's probably a good way to look at it. So I'm just very grateful that people join us, hang out with us, share their thoughts with us, allow us to kind of take those thoughts and you know, chuck them around, have a look at them, debate them, you know, but without the community and without people, I mean, this channel, I don't know where it would be. I don't know where it would be. It would not be doing what it's doing, I know that much. It would not be doing the live streams and all of that. I mean, maybe we would be doing just toy hunts and figure videos, but I feel like when the channel was like that, there was like a bit of a wall that separated us. Because now I can sit here and I can say, Brad, shout out to you, my friends. Austin, shout out to you. Cal, shout out to you. Sonny, how you doing? Temple Plays, how you doing? You know, I can do that. There's not really that barrier. Whereas when I'm doing toy hunts or stuff, you're just watching a video I recorded and edited, you know, God knows when. So there is that kind of... So I love where the channel is right now. This is where I've always wanted the channel to be. I wasn't able to do this when I was at work. You know, when you do what I do, like, you have to be all in. And I'm sure you know that, like, we stream all the time, we do videos all the time. Like, there's no way of doing this and doing a job and getting sleep. So, you know, we're all in with it. So it kind of puts us in a bit of a unique position, really, where it's like we're dialed in. I want to make sure that I'm giving people what they're looking for, because the alternative would be that the channel would have to shut down, wouldn't it, if it didn't have the community? So it's funny, I get a lot of people that are like, oh, thank you so much for everything. It's like, you don't ever need to say that, because it's only you lot that keep me here and keep this channel going. Without you, I don't even know where we would be. I think it would be back to doing toy hunts, and there's a lot of channels that do those now. And I just don't know that the channel would survive. So, you know, it's greatly appreciated. That's the moral of the story. It's not lost on me. It's greatly appreciated, all the support that people have shown. And I just hope that we can continue as this story moves forward. And of course, as other stories come through as well, you know. I mean, we've never run out of stuff to talk about, and we've been doing this since 2016. So just because Nightbirds come to an end, I mean, we ain't going anywhere. So it's we'll be around doing these streams and talking about wrestling and getting our teeth into different topics and different subjects for hopefully many more years to come. So, but you have to just keep saying thank you, and I'll never get tired of saying that, because you just never know when these things come to an end, do you? I mean, you could all run away and leave me, and then obviously I wouldn't know what I would do, actually. Think about it, I'm not sure what I would do. I always thought, you know, that if ever this did come to an end, I would go back into retail, because I loved retail and I really enjoyed it. But the shops that I used to work in, which was like DVD and CD shops, entertainment shops, you know, those kind of places, they're dying out. They're not around anymore. So you can't really go and work in them anymore. Like, fast forward 10 years, I don't know that there'll be any. So, what is there now? Just clothes shop? I don't really work in a clothes shop. Not really interested in that. I think you can tell by what I'm wearing. I'm not really into my fashion. I don't know what I would do. Oh, I don't really want to think about it. What would I do? I don't know what I would do. I have been asked that. If you didn't do this, what would you do? My answer's always, I'd go back into retail. I'd go and work with like DVDs, CDs. But it's going to come the point where that's not possible anymore. It's going to come the point, you know, it doesn't feel like it's that far away, where you can't do that now. So what do you do now? I don't know. That's a downer, isn't it? Well, that's a downer. Well, it don't matter. You just have to promise that you're never going to leave me. That's what this is now. This is now a cult, right? This is a cult. Yeah, you're going to stick around because I need you. Daze, you're amazing at what you do. Irish Rebel, shout out to you, my friend. Tony said, I used to love going into HMV in Worcester and going through their WWE DVDs, and those shops are gone now. I know. I've been into HMV recently, and I was horrified by what I saw. I went in, and like their music section, their vinyl section, their DVD section, I mean, it's all like 1/20th of what it was. I think their vinyl section's better than it was, in all fairness, but CDs now is like a couple of rows. Before it used to be like half the shop. And then like DVDs used to be pretty much the other half, with the wall space on the edge being like games and technology. But all the floor space in the middle used to be like split pretty much 50-50. Now you go in and it's all like these weird flipping Japanese soft cuddly toys and Japanese drinks and just all this weird, I don't know, Japanese culture seems to be in, doesn't it? I think like K-pop and all of that has really took the world by storm. So now you've got all this like Japanese stuff, Korean stuff that the kids seem to be into. And then you've got like all these like really expensive NECA toys and whatever, which is like, no man, the world's changed, isn't it? What we're streaming and everything. I mean, it's probably changed for the better, in all fairness. You can get a month of Netflix now for the cost of what used to be a new DVD. So it's probably changed for the better. But that doesn't help me, does it? That doesn't help me if this all falls apart. Yeah? I'm the one that loses out. Because where am I going to go? I don't know what to do. I'm not going to think about it. Physical media is better than digital media, says Jim. Tyler said, are you going to do a stream on Wednesday and Thursday and talk about everything that's not Wyatt 6? For those that want some other stories, it's a good thought, that, actually. We have done a lot of, I mean, we have definitely ticked the Wyatt 6 box. It's a box that I'm still looking to keep ticking, of course, because I think we have a community that's very engaged in that. But I'm just as into like the Liv and Dom stuff as well, and what Chad's doing, and Sammy, and do you know what I mean? Like the Bloodline when Roman comes back, and Cody, and The Rock, and yeah, I mean, you know, this is not a Nightbird exclusive channel, though I appreciate it probably has felt that way over the past month or so. So that's actually not a bad idea, but I don't have, until you've just mentioned it, I didn't have any plans for it. So what I'll say is I'll give it some thought. I'll give it some thoughts. What I do want to do is run away and see if I can get a bit of an unseen together, which might be a bit tricky because obviously today I've just been swamped in a good way with people sharing their thoughts about what happened last night. So you've seen as I go through my notifications, it's just a lot of people talking about what went down and everything. So trying to find the bits of news and the latest developments kind of mixed within all of that can be a little bit tricky. So I'm going to run away and see if I can cobble something together. There's not really anything Nightbird related. I mean, there's a few little thoughts and things, but I've not really seen anything massive that's like, oh my God, we need to do a video on that. Just a few little thoughts. Could this lead to this? Might this be this? That kind of stuff, you know? As I said, I think the video that's on the channel already, if you've not seen it, really boxes off a lot of that big stuff, which I think is probably largely known now anyway. But, you know, I think there was a lot of good stuff that was in that if you haven't seen it. But yeah, I'm going to run off and cobble that together. But a massive thank you. I know I keep saying it, but I so mean it. There's so many places that people can hang out, share their thoughts, and it's just so cool that we've got a community that, you know, joins us on a regular basis and wants to engage and wants to communicate. And now that we're on the backside of that Nightbird story and we've gone to now a different phase, the Wyatt 6 phase, hopefully we can continue to have those conversations. So appreciate the support. Look after yourselves. I'm going to run off, get something to eat, and try and do an unseen. And I will see you soon for something somewhere. We'll do something at some point. At the very least, we're going to be back on Friday. And I am going to try and get in those couple of member streams as well. And there will be, I'm sure, unseens that hit. And who knows, we might even get a journal update. So who knows? Dro, shout out to you. Brony, shout out to you. Kader, shout out to you.